You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're waking up in the greatest country in history. We're off and running. We got a whole show planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because unlike other shows, you're not going to listen to a monologue for the next 4 hours.
Yeah, no.
No. You are part of the conversation. Yes. Here's what 710 KNUS does. They take this tin can and they open it up to the city of Denver to share your perspectives on all things from DJT to the rodeo to...
And the thing is, there's no other outlet at this time of the morning in which you get this available opportunity and this share of voice. Nobody else out there that's competing on the level that we do. And the other competitors that are doing things this morning don't care what you say. I mean, you can't ever call Sport Code Boy in the afternoon and tell him about what's going on the show, but you can call us immediately when you hear something stupid coming out of my pie hole. So that's the difference here. And then there's other competition that is going to do just kind of a news wheel. And then we've got another guy that's just going to talk at you all morning, which again, okay, that's your thing. That's fine. But if you want to listen to a radio podcast, where there's no interaction, we do podcast our show, but that's post show after the interaction is taking place, not during. We don't function during the show as if it's a podcast, but some people choose that. That's okay. More power to them. We appreciate that because it's better for us.
So phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. I'm going to play this at the top of every hour.
Oh, I think you should. That should be there, I think.
Yep.
Far right side.
Far right side. Yep. There it is. So Jared Polis talking about being high.
Oh, that's great.
Jared Polis did a State of the State yesterday, and he was talking about being high, then quoted a whole bunch of Taylor Swift. I actually think he may have been high. No, I'm joking. I don't think he was. But a lot of talk about altitude. Here is a 2-minute summary of an entire hour-long speech that Jared Polis gave at a State of the State.
The Honorable Jared Polis, Governor of the state of Colorado.
Altitude. Altitude is in many ways our secret ingredient. Potatoes, Colorado-grown potatoes, Colorado altitude, and also the Rockies play here. Altitude is more. At altitude, the sun's rays shine stronger and brighter. Right here, right now, right here, right now. The governor is a nerd, and I'll oppose anyone and everyone higher to even greater altitude. Mycorrhizal fungi networks or wood wide webs, expanding public transit and rail, where Scotty can beam us up to Craig. As they say in The Mandalorian, this is the way. Climate change, our bold climate action, outdoor equity, eliminating the penny, needless bureaucracy and paperwork. And we are committed to holding cattle rustlers accountable. So I can speak for another hour. For a woman to make her own reproductive health care choices, including abortion, and many other immigrants who enrich our communities and economy every day are living in fear. Fabulous Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. And defying gravity, RuPaul says, reading is what? Fundamental. 90% of students, imagine a class of 25 students, 22 are behind grade level in math and reading. Sometimes simply breathing can be an act of strength. Lord of the Ring fans know that one does not simply walk into Mordor. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. Diversity is a strength, not a threat. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. Tickets as low as $19 for adults, $10 for kids.
Oh, that's great.
That's how sometimes I think your brain works.
Yes,
Bill.
absolutely. Yes, I would admit that. Yes,
It bounces between Lord of the
totally
Rings,
does.
The Mandalorian,
Yes.
Taylor Swift, and
oh, it does.
altitude.
When he's doing the Mordor quote, I'm like, oh, I know this one. Yeah, I'm like mouthing along with him. Yes, I know exactly. One does not simply walk into Mordor. I'm like, I know that one. Yes.
Oh, and if you think that the electorate elects the smartest people to run our state, I'd like to just exhibit one that
yes.
all of you listening could run the state better. So
yeah, and if his mind is functioning like mine, he should not be in charge. I will admit that. There's no way. I should not be in charge of anything. Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. I am probably the biggest warning. If you said your mind working like Thorpe's, yeah, no, sorry, I can't vote for you. Sorry about that.
Dude, if you had $36 million to spend on election too, you could be governor.
I could.
And then you can get up and give speeches like that.
I would. The part is, I appreciate the fact that he comes. Again, if I had that much money, that he's playing the part. He shows up in the Colorado tie and the suit. If he's going to do the altitude thing and the joke about being high, I'm showing up as a hippie. I'm putting on a long wig. I'm coming in tie-dye. I'm holding a bong.
Sign.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm holding a giant bong. I'm coming in doing all sorts of stuff. Yes, absolutely.
If you want to watch the actual video clip of that, because that took a few hours last night, because his actual speech is about an hour. You can go to x.com/Jeff Hunt.
Those are hard to listen to. I've listened to a number of them over the years and different governors, etc. They're hard to listen to. It's a slog. They're not entertaining.
No,
it's not even as entertaining as they're worse than the worst lecture you had in college. They are that bad. At least some of the professors tried to make them interesting. This was just, I don't care. They're just so uninteresting and so boring. Yeah, I hate listening to them.
If you had a bingo card, RuPaul, Taylor Swift, The Mandalorian, Beam Me Up, Scotty. There's
that's the only way to do it. Is to play bingo. But the problem is, then you got to explain to friends why you're drunk at 2:00 in the afternoon. You're like, blame Polis, and they're like, what? Yeah.
So that summary again in video form at x.com/Jeff Hunt. But yesterday, State of the State, we'll be covering that. Brandi Bradley is going to be joining us. There's a big decision that came down with regards to Title IX. We're going to get into Rory O'Neill and the SoCal fires will be joining us in just a few minutes to give us an update on that. We're going to talk to Mike Boyle. We're going to talk the National Western Stock Show Parade. So lots to cover. And then we're going to finish with our Cowboy Poet Laureate.
Yes.
It was a little sad at the parade. No cows.
Really?
No cows.
They got caught in traffic. How did cows get caught in the traffic?
I think it was the weather.
Yeah.
So everything south of here was terrible yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, really bad. We even got a mea culpa from our principals that was like,
really?
Shouldn't have had school.
Oh, wow.
It was real rough. And then I guess these cattle come from Montrose, somewhere down there. So they couldn't get up, and it just wasn't quite the same without them. But it's still fun.
Sad.
Still a lot of fun. So lots to cover. Plus, DJT being sentenced today. Supreme Court weighing in yesterday, late last night, in a 5-4 decision that they're not going to halt this. They said if DJT wants to appeal it, he's got to work through the appellate process. But at this point, sentencing today for the president-elect in the Mersham trial. I'm sure Blake will have updated news on that throughout the show.
But they could just have him, sometimes with these programs where they're not necessarily a violent offender, not dangerous, they just have him serve weekends. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're just going to serve weekends. He has to show up, or Friday afternoon by 5.
Put the ankle monitor on him and all that stuff.
Why not? I'm teasing.
It would only make him more
yes, it would.
bad in my mind.
Be funny.
All right. Lots of text messages coming in. Wow, Polis really sounds so Churchillian.
Yes, it does.
But I'm sure you can clip anyone's video to make it look like that. But yeah, lots of bizarre references from the governor yesterday. All right, let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
He quoted RuPaul. Your video
is fundamental.
Yeah. Is that what RuPaul said, Bill?
Apparently, I don't.
That's something. Well, reading is fundamental goes back actually 80s is where that thing comes from. Right. And reading Rainbow did that as well with LeVar Burton. The reading it used to be that because it was fun. You thought it was fun because you put the it's like I'm your principal. that kind of thing. So yeah, reading is fundamental. Yeah, it was one of those things. Yeah, it was one of those things.
He's so creative.
So super clever.
I watched about 3 minutes of it, and I said, well, Jeff will take care of the rest.
That's great.
I mean, there's no way that guy makes the leap to president. Sorry.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. He's not very likable. Not in my book. All right. It is 12. Good morning, guys. 12 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 42 today. Our top story.
Did the floors, and we put in windows and doors and painted and just put. My grandchildren loved it. My son and my daughter-in-law, my family. We hosted Christmas Eve and Christmas Day here.
21 fire crews are fighting the fires around the clock to bring a number of raging wildfires under control in Southern California. Last night, it was confirmed that the number of fire-related deaths has climbed to 10 now. Santa Ana winds are expected to pick up again this morning, further complicating the job for the firefighters, some of which are from Colorado, and some of the firefighters having to use women's handbags to carry the water on Thursday after millions of dollars of fire equipment was sent to Ukraine months ago. And then you have the assistant fire chief in a produced public service address announcement thing produced months ago, but this is just unbelievable.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
All right. She needs to be fired. Christina Kepner, first lesbian assistant chief of the LA Fire Department. She makes $264,000. So if you say you're a fat guy like me, I mean, I'm not fat, but I'm overweight, whatever. And say I save 5 or 6 people in my house and I run back to save the cat and I slip and I hit my head, she's going to come in there and say, hey, you got yourself in this situation.
All because she can't carry you.
Right, because she can't carry you. I know a couple of firefighters, and they tell me these stories. And these are guys that one of them is a former football player. Another one is a Marine, always a Marine. And they're like, this garbage goes on all the time. But man, the arrogance of her. So you got her, Christina Kepner, and then you have Christina Crowley, first LGBTQ fire chief, as we heard yesterday. And then you have Christine Larson. Evidently, all of them have to be named Christine or Christina. There's another one. Her name isn't Christine or Christina. Christina Larson, Kepner, first Black lesbian equity bureau chief of the LAF Fire Department, $399,000. All right, one woman stopped Gavin Newsom on Thursday. She doesn't believe him at all. I wonder why.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes.
And she stayed after him. The whole thing is uncomfortable. It's horrible to watch. The city of Westminster wants residents to download an app that can help them evacuate during a wildfire. The Westminster Fire Department says the development of a project app was brought on by the 2021 Marshall Fire. Those who downloaded the app can type in their address, find the evacuation zone, and they're in, and they can see whether An evacuation has been ordered. The app also shows evacuation points in each zone. The city implemented the app in November, becoming the first Adams County community to do so. Governor Polis gave his state of the state address on Thursday, outlining what he believes are the most important issues facing the state. Go to @JeffHunt for the best summary of what he said. All 5 living presidents were in attendance for the Jimmy Carter funeral. A lip reader says the DJT told Obama, as we checked it out during the newscast on Thursday, he told him evidently that we need to find a quiet place to talk, something like that, talk about something. And he was making Obama laugh during their little conversation. And let's see, what's her name? Kamala Khan. She wasn't too happy about it. She looked like a school girl scorned during that whole thing. A group that includes billionaires and entrepreneurs like former Dodger owner Frank McCourt and Shark Tank Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary is looking to buy TikTok. The group made a formal offer Thursday to buy the social media platform from its China-based parent company ByteDance. News is brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com.
Well, it was all effort from Jeremiah Love. He said no hurdling, broke his rule right there. He just refuses to go down.
Jeremiah Love and Notre Dame, they beat Penn State. They advanced to the College Football National Championship. Wokey woke ESPN, here's what they care about. Not the Notre Dame coach, head coach Marcus Freeman. Great job by him.
Because you are the first black head coach to go to a national championship game in college football. Just hearing that response alone, how much does this mean to you?
You know, I've said this before. I don't ever want to take attention away from the team. It is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter, great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this. But this ain't about me. This is about us. And we're going to celebrate what we've done because it's something special.
Good for him. He shut that down pretty quick. The NFL's wild card round begins with an AFC doubleheader on Saturday. The Texans play host to the Chargers, and then the Ravens and the Steelers. The Broncos in Buffalo on Sunday, kickoff 11 o'clock, back in the playoffs, first time since 2016. Predictions from Billy and Jeff coming up, and myself at 9 o'clock. So getting ready for the Broncos this weekend. 9 in Castle Pines. It's 10 in Wheat Ridge, 12 in Denver. TGIF. Jeff and Billy continue.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?
Yes, Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back.
It'll be quiet.
Thank you so much, Blake. Joining us now is Rory O'Neill, NBC national correspondent. Give us some update on those SoCal fires. Rory, thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill show.
Yes, good morning.
Sure. Good morning.
So what's the latest overnight?
Well, we haven't gotten any new numbers when it comes to containment or number of acres burned, but the firefight is really on the edge of a very important day today because the winds are really continuing to die down. Although the air remains dry, they have got to take advantage of these conditions that are improving to get an upper hand on these fires. You've got today and tomorrow, Saturday, because the winds are going to start to pick up again by late Sunday when they're 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. And that's what got us into this in the first place. So the firefighting effort now has more airplanes, more helicopters, and some fresh firefighters have been coming in from other states to help out.
Talking with Rory O'Neill, NBC national correspondent. Are those, we've all seen them in Colorado, the planes that drop water. Are they able to go out to the ocean and get water, or helicopters get water from the ocean to help fight these fires?
they can tap into the ocean. It's something they'd rather not do, but because it's saltwater then goes on to kill the plants. Killed plants turn into dry vegetation that ultimately become a problem again. So they'd rather not, plus other problems with the gear. So the planes can tap into the Pacific, but it's a bigger problem for the firefighters themselves to pump it through a truck. But yeah, it is an option.
Talking with Rory O'Neill, where are we seeing other states provide firefighters? Or heard a little bit of Colorado sending some resources, or other states, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, are they mobilizing to help California here?
They are, and two of the big tanker planes from Canada have actually been sent down to join in the fight as well, which would be much easier when there are 51st states. But the planes actually, the Canadian plane actually hit a drone that some knucklehead was flying. So that grounded the plane, popped a hole in the wing of the plane. So that has slowed down its ability to respond here. But again, this is going to be a pivotal day, I think, in the firefight, because the conditions are really improving for the firefighters, giving them a chance to get an upper hand here.
That drone is, that's a good example of a secondary issue. Is looting become a problem as well? I imagine with Los Angeles being such a populous space that all these secondary issues are exacerbated.
Right, they are. More than 20 people have been arrested on suspicion of looting. We had an arrest yesterday as well of a guy who was accused of being an arsonist, of trying to set at least one of these fires. So these other issues are out there that just complicate things and distract from the first responders who are trying to save lives and property.
We'll continue to pray and watch all this. Rory O'Neill, thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill show. Give us the latest updates on the SoCal fires.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys.
You too, Rory. Thanks. Oh boy, I spent 2 years living in Los Angeles, going to grad school up in Pasadena, where the evacuations are taking place. There's a lot of brush, a lot of trees. I could definitely see how this has become a major problem, but it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was doing some deeper dives into insurance and stuff yesterday after some of the conversations we had with the listeners, and looking into some of the cat losses and looking at some of the things that the larger insurance companies have been doing. And State Farm had pulled out of Pasadena. They had canceled about 1,600 homeowner policies about 3 months ago. And the issue, and this was the odd part, and this is what I didn't understand, their statement was because of financial solvency. And I'm like, wait, they're a mutual fund company, and if they were considered in the, if they were in the Fortune 500, they'd be in the top 30. They are that wealthy. Wow. Then I'm like, why is this happening? And realized, oh, wait, the way that our laws are written, you can't take premiums from Colorado to pay off stuff in California. You have to derive the stuff is stuck in the state. So you can't be, and the idea being what it would be is, well, I know that Florida is a huge loss for you every year, State Farm. That's okay for you to raise the insurance prices in Colorado and Missouri and Montana.
Gotcha. So you'll let
the people of lower risk, take up the slack. That's why those laws are written. So the money that's in California has to be taken. It has to be spent in California, and the money from everywhere else can't go to California. So that, I'm like, why the financial argument? I couldn't understand that. But the stuff that I'm reading, you're going to see State Farm and a whole bunch of others. They're already not in Florida and a number of other southern states because of the hurricane damages. And now with wildfires, State Farm and a few of the others are going to be pulling out of California. And that's going to mean it's going to be incredibly expensive to try and insure your house. This is going forward.
So do these insurance companies then do the 10% premium on the, is that the route they go? Because that's the change that happened in Colorado on roofs.
Yeah.
So rather than having a low premium, your premium is now 10% of the total cost of the roof.
More the idea is they keep just hanging up. They keep raising your deductible. So that's the idea, is you've got to be able to put so much in. It seems what they're doing. And so the deductible becomes ridiculous. There's no way, if you ever had a loss, you're not going to be able to go ahead. So what they're hoping for is that with the higher rates of deductible, they're hoping that you will continue to write the check because you can say you're insured. But then when it comes down to it, you don't have that pile of cash sitting at the side. So they're not going to be on the hook for the rebuild. You're going to sell, you're going to do something else. That's kind of the idea that I was getting out of it. Again, that's just
Like,
my
you
interpretation
can't get a
of what I'm
mortgage
seeing.
without insurance.
No. So that's the idea, is you just pay it so you have the insurance, knowing that if anything major happened, there's nothing you can do. It's like the very high deductible car insurance rates, that you can have a car insurance deductible of 15 grand. And the idea that, okay, my car is going to be worth, at most it's going to cost, 18, 20 to fix it. So do you have that 15 grand you're going to roll in? The company's happy to write that policy because they know they're only going to pick, they're only going to pick 5,000, 8,000 is all they're on the hook for, because you've got to pay the front end of it. Same thing with a high deductible healthcare policies. Same thing. That, if you're looking at that and that's what you're doing, that's what you have with the younger kids. They have a really, really high deductible because they don't use the insurance. So yeah, that's the direction it's going to go. And you're going to find places in those areas that are going to be absolutely awful. Oh, and did you hear about the arsons as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here right now.
I saw video of that yesterday. They had video of a guy, looked like he was lighting fires. Again, it's grainy cell phone video that is taken about half a block or a block away. So it's not the best quality, but it sure does look like dudes lighting fires. And they think the one person that they captured might be responsible for 2 different wildfires inside of California, inside of LA proper, because he'd straight
to death row.
Yeah, that's one that it's for me. Let's just Joan of Arkham, for the fire thing. I'm saying I'm okay with the revenge factor.
Revenge fire.
I'm okay with this.
And if you lost
that
a
dark
house,
part of my heart,
you get to light the match.
Yes. You can all throw little tiny fireballs at him. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I understand. I will lean into the revenge factor. I honor that as long as I feel that I'm intellectually and emotionally honest that I'm doing this out of revenge. As long as I admit it, okay. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm okay with it.
So Blake played that audio of the governor, I guess, fake calling, trying to call Joe Biden, trying to get a hold of him. But how much do you put on of this blame? Do you continue to put on the leadership, or do you look at this as kind of a natural disaster and they're doing their best to respond? Give us a call. Join the conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dancamplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. That's 720-819-5115. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Friday, weather-wise for Denver in the Front Range, it'll be cool, sunny, highs upper 30s, lows tonight in the 20s, increasing cloudiness overnight. Saturday and Sunday and Monday will be kind of blustery. Temperatures will be mostly in the 30s, lows will be teens, it'll be kind of windy at times. There'll be a few passing snow showers possible Saturday. Highs this weekend will be 30s, lows at 19s, and remaining cold into Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking the SoCal fires, the latest news coming from them. 10 people reported dead. They're arresting looters. They're even arresting arsonists at this point. Here from the Wall Street Journal, the top 10 costliest wildfires in U.S. history. Let me know if you hear a theme here. 2018, California Camp Fire. 2017, California Tubbs Fire. 2018, California Woolsey Fire. 2023, Hawaii, Maui, Lahaina Fire. 1982, California, Oakland Fire. 2017, California, Atlas Fire. 2020, California, Glass Fire. 2020, California, CZU Lightning Fire. 2017, California, Thomas Fire. 2021, Colorado, Marshall Fire. And that's the Marshall Fire was number 10 of the 10 costliest. All the other ones, with the exception of Hawaii, California. Look at this headline from 2022. So in light of that, you now know that the costliest wildfires come from California over the last 10 years. Here's a headline from 2022. LA County Fire Department donating surplus supplies to Ukraine's first responders. I bet they wish they had those supplies right now. Let's go to the phone lines. Don Aurora. Good morning, Don. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'd like to take a maybe different spin on this Southern California fire. Maybe not that much of a spin, but I've been kind of watching this calamity unfold, and I just came to the conclusion a long time ago that blaming the politicians is too much of a cop-out. People voted for the people who implemented the policies that led to these wildfires. And California was never designed from a climate or geological standpoint to support the number of people that's there now. And you pile on top of that bad water decisions, bad water management decisions, bad land management decisions, and overbuilding. Well, of course, something like this is going to happen. It's a semi-arid desert. Okay, nature's going to do what nature's going to do, and how nature. I'm looking for the right word.
Look, Don, you're right. I saw a piece that Joe Rogan, like 2022, on his podcast, was talking about how his buddies who are LA firefighters were saying it was just a matter of time that when those Santa Ana winds hit, it will take out, they said, all of LA, all the way to the coast there. So this wasn't just a wild accident.
No,
firefighters knew about this, knew that this was a challenge for years.
Well, it's California. It's a semi-arid desert. It gets hot. It gets hot in those Santa Ana winds. I mean, those show up here in Colorado occasionally.
Yeah, they're weird. It's like a 75-degree wind that just comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, you see snow, and those winds come rolling in, and several hours later, the snow's gone.
But Don, I don't think they'll stop electing Democrats. I mean, Colorado didn't. Colorado went through the Marshall Fire, and then we just put Jared Polis right back in.
I think they will. The problem is that they're going to have to go through several more calamities like this before people start to wonder that maybe electing these people isn't a good idea. But I'd like to give an example.
Well, actually, Don, I want to hold you there just for a second, because a second ago, Jeff read a list of largest fires. Majority of those were in California. When's the tipping point? If you're talking about going through a few more of these, I would submit they already have. When is the tipping point?
Well, let me give my example. I have to say, like 10 years ago, I was listening to a podcast of the host was interviewing a reporter from Sweden. And Sweden, once upon a time, used to be one of the most crime-free, safest places in Europe. And this is just when a lot of the crime was just starting to ramp up. And the host asked, why do people still wave these refugee welcome signs? Because most of the crime was done for people from Albania, North Africa, the Central Asia. And the reporter said it hasn't affected enough people. Once it gets to a tipping point, then things will change.
And I'm not always sure it's enough people. It's the right people. Like, for instance, if it hits the rich people, then really, we start to focus on the problem.
We got rich people yelling and screaming right now.
I know.
Got a whole bunch of stars.
Maybe it'll actually change. Don, really appreciate the call. Don's line will be open 303-696-1971. Do you know somebody affected by the California wildfire? Have you heard directly from them? I would like to hear your experience. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. I mean, we saw this on the car theft stuff here in Colorado, where when those gangs started to creep into Cherry Creek and Cherry Hills.
Oh, yeah.
Boulder.
Yeah, that changed.
Well, then Phil Weiser's reevaluating his 2 to 3 car thefts before you go to jail policy.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking with Mike Boyle later this morning. He's got something coming up for the inauguration. But we may revisit this idea of the fires, because just got a message from Mike. He grew up in Pacific Palisades. He went to the school that was destroyed. He lived in the neighborhoods that had been burnt down. So we're going to talk with him at 8 o'clock, and we'll talk to him about that area and what it was like growing up and the devastation. So we'll get that kind of an idea as well, because that's a lot of childhood memories for him now that are gone. That's hard. That's a difficult one. And I'm not certain. I understand the idea of the tipping point. I'm not certain about it because the idea being we have, and what I keep pointing back to is Florida, because Florida's really conservative, and yet how they deal with hurricanes. Again, the mitigation for wildfires and hurricanes are somewhat different, but there is an analogy there based on building codes, where people live, sewer systems, infrastructure, all of those kind of things. And we don't necessarily see the pushback with some of the things and some of the disasters that happen down there. You go to somewhere along, the southern coast of the U.S., there are a lot of red states down there, and they get hit by hurricanes and other storms, and you don't see that kind of change there either. So I am skeptical that these fires are going to change the political winds inside of California, because I don't see it going the other direction, just like you outlined here, Marshall Fire, that we didn't see any major political fallout in the state after that. So I'm less convinced. And this idea, I do think that the narrative of, oh my God, it's all these stupid liberal policies, isn't going to serve the GOP long term. I think the better idea would be to come at it more from the perspective of, how do we prevent this? Here it is. And you start presenting the solutions and having people realize that it is the conservative people that are giving the solutions and are coming to the table with things that can help, rather than saying, you're stupid because you voted for liberals. This is all your fault. You stupid liberals. Now listen to me. I'm going to tell you what's right. I don't think in this situation you're going to win friends that way. I can't imagine if your neighbor's house was burning down and you knew they had too much trash in the backyard. That house is on fire. They're dealing with it. You come over and you go, hey, I told you about that fire, you dumbass, and all that stuff in your backyard. You're stupid for keeping it there. You should have listened to me. That's not going to win you any friends. And that's what I'm hearing right now from a lot of the GOP is you're going to end up alienating potential voters and potential people that can be persuaded because of how you're bringing the ideas to them. You're pointing at them and saying, it's your fault, you dum-dums. Now listen to me.
So I see it a little differently. As you can imagine, conservatives have been raising these issues for years and years and years. All of them. The idea that California isn't building enough water storage, that California isn't doing the right fire mitigation, that they're too focused on DEI, not on practical services that actually protect people. It's been years and years and years. And then you have now the most destructive wildfire in American history that has taken place, from my perspective, as a result of these policies that have been ignored for years and years and years. It has to be addressed so that we can save future lives. That's the conversation that's got to be had. We'll get to these phone calls, Tony, as well as the text messages, 303-696-1971.
And when we get back to that and we talk about that, the idea of voting for the policies, then is it the conservatives and the GOP fault when the power grid fails in Texas and people die? It's their fault?
Because it was because they bought into some of the stupid lib ideas.
That's fair.
Green.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's fair. At least it's consistent. Okay, I can get on board with that. If that's
people
going to be
suffering.
If that's going to be the level that we're going to judge it at, okay,
if
I can get on board.
people are suffering and it is the result of bad policies, I sure as hell hope that the people and the policies themselves are explored and dove into and examined. That's the word I'm looking for. It's Friday. Good morning.
It's still
all right. We'll get to it. We got You Choose the News coming up, but the conversation's going to continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. And say this is the thing where push more buttons. And then here's another button I push. And we're going to do this together. It's just a Friday. And now watch. Here's the last magic button. Does this one work? It works!
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We've got nearly full phone lines. We can sneak one in. Tony, Jack, we're going to get to you in a second. But it's that time of the morning, and it's Friday. Billy?
Yes, it is time for the loser edition of You Choose the News. It is the time in which we revisit the stories that Jeff and Blake felt weren't worthy of our consideration.
You are one pathetic loser.
Loser! Let's go. Loser! You're a loser!
The Losers Club. Bunch of losers.
You're such a loser. You made me feel like a loser!
She's a loser.
You are such a loser.
Loser.
Yes, these are the loser stories. Those were left on the garbage pile of You Choose the News earlier in the week. They are coming back doing a little recycling, for the planet and for you guys, so that we get a second chance of glory. Yet one will be named a permanent loser, and you'll never hear the story. Alrighty, here we go, gentlemen. Blake Olson in the newsroom, Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here are the stories we are revisiting. These are your choices. Headline number 1, gentrified video game. Headline number 2, helpful technological innovation. Headline number 3, I saw it, so it's true. And headline number 4, fake food.
Let's
Mr.
do
Hunt.
the video game.
Yes, gentrified video game. This is rather unusual. Just when you thought that you had outgrown video games, just wait. Let's go back and play Doom, the Gallery Experience. This is a remake of the 1993 first level of Doom. And what you're doing, though, is you've gentrified the experience inside the video game. Instead of trying to kill zombies, you actually are visiting an art gallery. Yes, your weapons are replaced by wine glasses and cheese spread. And the cool thing is,
Sounds like Sims or something.
It kind of is. As you wander around the gallery that's been created, you actually can link and click on the different paintings, and it'll take you to a link of the original at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The players get to gather money that is scattered throughout the gallery. You get to purchase items from the gift shop. You even have a cheese meter that fills up as you consume the hors d'oeuvres that are found in and around the environment, as if they were held back in the original game. Yes.
Isn't there a Simpsons about that?
Yeah.
Where like virtual reality in the game was so boring.
Yes, exactly.
It was just your own life.
There is a virtual office. Your kids might be playing that one. That's kind of boring too. Yeah, virtual
it
office.
is.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, that is it. So it's a gentrified video game. Instead of having to kill the zombies, you sit around and you sip wine and cheese and look at the art.
Nice.
All right, Blake Olson, your choice, sir. Helpful technological innovation. I saw it, so it's true, or fake food?
I saw it, so it's true.
Yeah, I saw it, so it's true. This is one of those stories I wanted to bring to you guys because it's always nice to find out that, other governments have really stupid people running them too. Here's an example. And again, I'm not calling judgments. We have a current president that's struggling a bit. Did you hear me yesterday? Okay. This is about England. A current member of English Parliament, Suella Braverman, is getting some huge online backlash because evidently she did not pay close attention in geography class. Recently, she was talking about the immigration problems that England was facing, and she said, even our friends Italy are worried about immigration. And I'm quoting what she says. Italy have reinforced their borders. They have built a wall. I went to see that wall. They built a wall on the land border between Italy and Turkey. And that doesn't exist. Italy and Turkey don't touch. There's a bunch of water in between. Not at all. Not even freaking close. And she's like,
they border Croatia, Austria.
Yeah, no, not a border. But she saw
Germany.
the wall.
No,
the best part about it is she leaned out and she's like, I saw it. I saw the wall. That's like Kamala Harris saying that she wasn't concerned about the border for the first 3 years of the administration. Same thing.
Right. Same thing.
Same thing. But again, I know it's stupid, but still, it's just nice to hear stupidity from other governments.
No doubt.
Makes you
It's so
feel better.
refreshing.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I feel much better.
I did good. It's for Friday. That's what we're hoping. Okay. Final choice this morning, sir. Jeff Hunt, helpful technological innovation or fake food?
Fake food.
Fake food. This one is really, really interesting. Virtual reality. We're going back into that world is revolutionizing our digital experiences. Now, thanks to researchers at City University of Hong Kong, you're gonna take another step forward in VR. They're adding another sense to the mix, not just sight and sound, but taste. A study that was published in the recent proceedings, the National Academy of Scientists unveiled a lollipop-shaped device that is capable of delivering different flavors, bringing a new level of immersion to VR environments. The idea being that you would be able to experience certain taste sensations by licking your virtual lollipop. Yes, the researchers have designed a system that uses food-grade chemicals stored in gel packets on a mouthpiece. These chemicals are stored and activated using electrical currents, creating a taste sensation that combines with the user's saliva. The result is a virtual experience where you'd be able to taste everything from fruit flavors to savory dishes, making the virtual world feel even more real than before. Yes, virtual food.
There's a philosophical exercise that try to prove you're not just a brain in a vat somewhere.
Oh, yeah. That's
I just think we might actually just be brains and vats.
Or we're going to become them because we're just going to do the virtual food.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not doing the virtual lollipop thing. You guys first. Alrighty. That's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you, Jeff.
Who was the rapper? There's something about a lollipop and a rapper. Anyways, you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Tony, Jack, hang with us. You're up next.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You just woke up in the greatest country in history. We're off and running. Got a whole hour planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a few minutes, Brandi Bradley is going to join us, Colorado House of Representatives member from District 39, that's Douglas County, on the big Title IX victory that came yesterday as a federal judge strikes down Biden's administration's Title IX rewrite. Critics argued the rewrite would allow trans inclusion in women's and girls' sports, as well as safety issues in bathrooms. So talk with Brandi Bradley about that in a second. We'll get to news in a moment as well. Let's go back to the phone lines. Tony Littleton, you lived in the area for a while out there, and where the wildfires are.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah, you mentioned that you spent some time in Pasadena.
Yep.
I lived in Santa Monica, and if you know the area, I was right at Wilshire and PCH, right at that corner, and I was there about a year. And the meetings and the people I was meeting with took me into places like Topanga Canyon and Palisades and Hollywood Hills, and so I spent some time, in that area. And I think you're right. It does kind of come down to a policy thing, but the question is what the perspective is on the policy, and you have to start with those Santa Ana winds. And I think I hear people talking, and I'm not sure people are really clear what those are about. The prevailing winds, as you know, is from the ocean coming in over LA. So it brings in moisture, cool air off the ocean. However, when they get a low pressure system off the coast and a high pressure system in the deserts of Death Valley and the other deserts along Nevada and California, then the wind reverses and rushes from the east to the west. And when it comes over those mountains, it's hot and it's fast and it's wide. It was in 2017 that State Farm said, we got to get out of here because those Santa Ana winds are going to get a lot worse, and we cannot handle the catastrophic insurance claims off of that. So they knew then, and that's why they pulled out, was specifically because of Santa Ana winds. And what they're experiencing now is almost once in a lifetime in terms of the heat and the speed and the width of the Santa Anas. And that's why, as they said, no corner in LA right now is safe. And as you well know, it's the most spread out city, second largest city, but spread out. And fire hydrants, even we hear about the fire hydrants, that they're not designed to deal with 50 fires in a neighborhood. They're there to deal with one house fire, not 50. And so it was no surprise that they were going to run out of water in their fire hydrants. They'd lose pressure in those. As I've come to understand, they're basically saying it will be over when the Santa Ana winds subside. And you had somebody on that had accurately said, come Sunday night, Monday, they've got another wave of aggressive Santa Ana winds. So those fires are, they may be able to bring them under control a little bit between here and there, but they're in for another really bad bout. And if you spend any time in Hollywood Hills, if you had a chance to get up there, it's almost impossible. And by the way, these people all know, these are all really rich people, rich areas. Their insurance companies already told them, you have to trim this away from your house, and you have to be this far. Just like if you had a house up in Genesee, you can't get insurance unless you clear all your property out. They've done that. They've got more than enough money to do that. And this is different. Well, this is lighting up. This is lighting up all these other areas, lighting up just fields and so forth that are yes, there's foliage, but it's lighting them up and then sending that like a hurricane, but it's not rain it's sending around fire.
Tony, do you hold the fire department, the mayor, the governor accountable? Because look, I've got this list of the 10 costliest wildfires ever, and they're all in the last 10 years. They're almost all with the exception of Hawaii and Colorado, from California.
Right.
This is not just something that just randomly happens. This is going to be the biggest. But
same problem with Florida, right? And it was brought up. Billy brought that up. All the hurricanes that hit Florida, one after another, boom, 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 and they keep getting wiped out. And now they don't have insurers for parts of Florida now. They've stopped building because they can't get insurance. Well,
but Tony,
the same thing is happening in California. So it's not.
Do you look though at that fire chief and just look? She just looks like the most inept. I know. I don't trust her.
DEI
but did she look like the leader of the second largest fire department facing the largest catastrophe? Like, really? That's the person?
I'm going to leave it to Californians to decide if they think they have the right leadership. So far, I haven't heard Californians complaining about their fire chief. What they are concerned about is the fundamental problem. They get the fundamental problem that global warming is maybe making LA unlivable. And that's their concern. And it's the same thing as happening down in Florida. It's areas of Florida are becoming unlivable. The problem for you, me, and the rest of the country, California is the 7th largest economy in the world. We don't want them to struggle because it becomes unlivable because of Santa Ana winds and fire. Yeah, that would be as bad as Florida becoming unlivable and not being able to kick out its production, and it's a big state. This is a reality to them. They
Tony,
take it serious.
Appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Tony lived in the area for a little bit. Let's go to Jack, Wyoming, then we'll get to the news, then we'll get to Brandi Bradley. Jack, good morning. You're on the Jeff and Bill show.
Yeah, morning.
Tony's call was magnificent. It was 90% of what I was going to articulate. He did it better than I can do, so I'm going to say thank you and hang up.
Okay. Well, what did you agree with him about?
Well, it's the government is not able to deal with these issues, and Democrats are not able to deal with reason and logic. So it's not going to come from that area. It's going to come from the private sector. And the private sector in these issues is the private businesses called insurance companies. And when they refuse to cover an area because the risk is too high, then all of a sudden the people aren't going to be able to buy homes there, because the lenders aren't going to lend them money for a house that can't be covered by insurance. The private sector is in control, period. And that's a slow process, but that's what's going to have to happen. Now, do you think Democrats are ever going to get smart enough to actually hire politicians that actually have enough sense to understand what's really going on in the real world? That day is never going to come, Billy. Never.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
But your previous caller, he said everything that I would say. If you gave me a week, I couldn't say it better than he said it.
And the interesting thing is, Jack, I think you and Tony would probably disagree on a number of policy issues, but the fact you two agree on that's interesting. Appreciate the call, Jack. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's 12 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 42 today. Our top story.
I'm 20 now, and I've been here since I was around 2 years old, and it's just, I've never experienced such an emotional pain in my life, just seeing my home like this.
That's one resident. The death toll from the LA fires is now up to 10. The county medical examiner offered no details about the identity of those killed or where they died. The fires have also damaged or destroyed over 10,000 structures.
And I think anything that we can hold on to a memory with would help us to heal and to remember this house that was so important to our family.
Rory O'Neill from NBC on with the fellas last hour.
They have got to take advantage of these conditions that are improving to get an upper hand on these fires. You've got today and tomorrow, Saturday, because the winds are going to start to pick up again by late Sunday when they're 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. And that's what got us into this in the first place. So the firefighting effort now has more airplanes, more helicopters, and some fresh firefighters have been coming in from other states to help out.
Including Colorado. Nearly 10 million LA residents received evacuation orders by mistake Thursday. Here's a weather guy on the tube.
We're just mapping out here are under mandatory evacuations. And obviously you can hear all of our phones are going off some type of alert. An evacuation warning, it looks like.
Yeah, my alert reads,
Yeah.
This is an emergency message from the LA County Fire Department. An evacuation warning has been issued in your area.
Yeah.
This
is what this looks like.
Remain vigilant of any threats and be ready to evacuate. Gather loved ones, pets.
Officials say an evacuation order that was supposed to only go to West Hills residents near the Kenneth fire instead went out to people all over Los Angeles County. And then there's crime.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire? At this time, that's what we believe, yes. Do you know how or why they did that? That I don't know. Is this a crime scene right now? Yes. So everything's closed off? It's being investigated as a crime.
So it looks like it may be arson with the Kenneth fire. They don't know about the other ones. The city of Westminster here in Colorado wants residents to download an app that can help them evacuate during a wildfire. The Westminster Fire Department says the development of the Genesis Project app was brought on by the 2021 Marshall Fire. Those who downloaded the app can type in their address, find the evacuation zone they're in, and see whether an evacuation has been ordered. The app also shows evacuation points in each zone. An Aurora man is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after being shot outside his home on Thursday. It happened around 7 o'clock last night in the 2000 block of East 62nd Drive. Police say the victim walked outside his home and saw a suspicious vehicle before being shot by an unknown person. Well, communists are all excited this morning. DJT will be sentenced in the try to destroy DJT case today, led by Judge Mersham.
Yeah.
And after the Supreme Court rejected his request to block it in the 5-4 ruling, the court's 3 liberal justices sided with Amy Coney Island Hot Dogs Barrett and Chief Justice John Roberts, who said DJT could still appeal the sentence. The Supreme Court will decide the future of TikTok today. A new law signed last spring requires TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the platform by January 19th, or it'll be banned in the U.S. over national security concerns. Hey, your morning coffee might be helping you with your liver or to help you live longer. A new study suggests that there are health benefits to drinking coffee in the morning. Researchers led by a team from Tulane University found that morning coffee drinkers were more than 30% less likely to die from heart disease than people who don't drink coffee. You feel better?
These studies are always so funny to me because I feel like they bounce back and forth all the time.
Yes.
Like in 2 weeks, it'll be like, do you know drinking coffee kills you? And
right.
You're like, but I just heard. And then the lady that drinks Dr. Pepper every single morning with a shot of Jack lives to 120.
That's right. Absolutely.
Who knows? We're all going to die, but just
who
have
knows
have
is
fun.
right. Have fun. Just don't smoke a lot of pot like the governor, and you'll be all right. God. Governor Polis gave his State of the State address Thursday. No need to listen to it. Just go to @JeffHunt on X. You're missing out if you don't.
Well, it was all effort from Jeremiah Love. He said no hurdling, broke his rule right there. He just refuses to go down.
And Notre Dame refused to go away. They beat Penn State. They advanced to the college football national championship. Here's the wokey woke ESPN reporter, and here's what they care about. But, man, the Notre Dame head coach, Marcus Freeman, great job.
Because you are the first black head coach to go to a national championship game in college football. Just hearing that response alone, how much does this mean to you?
You know, I've said this before. I don't ever want to take attention away from the team. It is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter, great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this. But this ain't about me. This is about us. And we're going to celebrate what we've done because it's something special.
Good for him, putting the attention on his team. Nice job. Broncos in Buffalo on Sunday. Back in the playoffs. Kickoff at 11. We'll have our predictions at 9 o'clock coming up. It's 9 in Parker, 10 in Arvada, 12 in Denver. Beautiful morning. TGIF, Jeff and Billy continue.
I pledge to listen to experts.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It'll be a quiet Friday weather-wise for Denver in the Front Range. It'll be cool, sunny, highs upper 30s. Lows tonight in the 20s, increasing cloudiness overnight. Saturday and Sunday and Monday will be kind of blustery. Temperatures will be mostly in the 30s. Lows will be teens. It'll be kind of windy at times. There'll be a few passing snow showers possible Saturday. Highs this weekend will be 30s, lows at 19s, and remaining cold into Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Is it discriminatory to keep a trans woman from participating in college women's sports, going into the locker room? Well, the Biden administration thought it was and wrote the new rules for Title IX to reflect that position. But a federal judge yesterday striking down Biden administration's Title IX rewrite. Fox News is reporting. This is a big win, they wrote, for the country, the Tennessee Attorney General who sued the Biden administration. This morning, a federal court ruled in our favor and vacated the Biden administration's radical new Title IX rule nationwide. Bill Cassidy released a statement. He's the senator as well from Louisiana on this. It's clear that the Biden administration completely lost its way on Title IX. They betrayed the original intent by removing longstanding protections that ensured fairness for women and girls. Good to see this harmful regulation overturned. The ruling came months after the Supreme Court rejected the Biden administration's emergency request to enforce portions of the new rule that would have included protections from discrimination from transgender students under Title IX. To give us some feedback on this and her thoughts, Representative Brandi Bradley. She represents House District 39 in Douglas County. Representative, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
So are we being discriminatory against trans people or protecting women? Where do you fall along this debate?
I think you know where I fall in this debate. We're absolutely protecting women. You know, this has been Title IX is a 1972 law that forbid discrimination based on sex, and the Biden administration decided to extrapolate. And not only did a federal judge strike it down, he struck down the entire 1,500-page regulation after deciding it was fatally tainted by legal shortcomings. So, you know, and Jeff, he took it a step further too. He also struck down the fact that you cannot compel speech, which is a huge win for parents, teachers, and people in school districts, I think.
When you say struck down compelled speech, what was the aspect of that?
He found that that this violated free speech rights by requiring teachers to use pronouns aligning with the student's gender identity. So we just passed non-legal name changes in the state, and I can't wait to get that repealed. I don't think teachers should have to call a little boy a little girl's name. I think that goes against their compelled speech rights and their religious freedoms. And that's what this judge determined yesterday. And that's a big win. We see lawsuits all over this country that teachers are bringing forward saying, you cannot make me have compelled speech.
And if I remember correctly, with regards to that law, that was taking place outside of even parents' knowledge of what was happening. So a kid could go to school and use a different pronoun and then compel the teacher to use that pronoun. And if the teacher refused, either because they disagreed with the idea that we don't involve parents with it, or maybe for religious reasons, like myself, I'm not going to call you a pronoun that's not your actual biological sex, then that teacher could be fired as a result of it. So you think that yesterday's ruling could affect that law here in Colorado?
I know that it can affect that law in Colorado.
It's a big deal. Talking to Brandi Bradley. She's a Colorado House of Representatives member from House District 39, which is in Douglas County. Let's go back to women's sports and protecting that, because originally it was promoted the idea of inclusivity, right? We're going to allow people to be participating in sports that they want to, as based upon their gender identity. But then you started to see real safety issues pop up. You had volleyballs, for instance, just being spiked by these men into women's faces. You saw basketball injuries take place. And then you saw women time and time again losing out in track, swimming, cycling to men that were dressing up as women and participating in these sports. Do you think this was a victory for fairness yesterday?
This is absolutely a victory for fairness. But the judge also found that the Department of Education overstepped its authority because they expanded the scope of Title IX to cover athletics. It was never meant to cover athletics. This was meant to cover education. And they overstepped by saying this covered athletics. So these girls and women who have been stripped of medals and scholarships, this was never meant to go into locker rooms in athletics. And that's what this judge just found. And this is a glorious day for girls who have been working their whole lives to get scholarships for colleges and different opportunities. This is a huge win.
Talking to Brandi Bradley, Colorado member, Brandi Bradley, member of the Colorado House of Representatives, District 39.
I want to follow up on that just for what did they mean now? I didn't see that inside the ruling about Title IX not applying to athletics. Can you explain that a little bit more to me? Because on first blush, it would appear to me to mean then that a school is not required to provide female sports.
Judge Reeves, the ruling said that he also found the Department of Education overstepped its authority, by expanding the scope of Title IX to include to cover athletics. He called it an attempt to bypass the legislative process and completely transform Title IX. So he found that they were saying that transgender kids could play in these girls' sports, and that wasn't what Title IX was supposed to include in the first place.
I think it has to do with the original intent. I don't think it's going to apply to, or it's going to remove women from competing.
Yeah, that was my first impression of the idea, sports. Saying that the Title IX didn't cover athletics. I'm like, no, I think it does based on the original writing. That's why I wanted to clarify that, because I had read stuff that was saying that it just removed the transgender's ability to compete in the sports. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have any other information that somehow I missed. That's all I was checking on. Thank you.
No, thanks for clarifying, Bill.
Now, this isn't going to prevent creating a league for transgender athletes.
No, and that's, when I tried to pass a bill to protect women in athletics, by the way, it's going to go national, our bill language, which is awesome. Nancy Mace is looking at our bill language, and Wyoming just passed a bill based on Colorado language. We're not trying to discriminate against the trans community. We just do not find fairness in boys playing in girls' sports. That's all.
Now, I wanted to ask you about one of your colleagues, because Congress is dealing with an issue of a transgender lawmaker, Nancy Mace, bringing up this issue. In the Colorado Capitol, you as a female lawmaker have to share a bathroom with a male lawmaker who dresses as a female. How does that make you feel?
I don't share a bathroom with a male lawmaker. That has not happened, and should that happen, we will cross that bridge when that happens, and probably everyone will know.
Do you think that, and this is Brianna Titone, who is a male that identifies as a female, dresses as a female, do you think he should be using a woman's bathroom?
Absolutely not. I don't think men belong in women's places. And I will continue to say that till I die. It is not right. It is not, and I am not being inhumane. I am not going against his ability to be a human. I do not think men should be in women's spaces, period. End of sentence.
What's the necessary danger of the transgender person being in the bathroom?
The necessary danger, Bill, and thank you for bringing that up, because I got gavelled down at the well, it opens up the opportunity for dangerous men to come into our spaces. How do you say that you're walking in and maybe it's a transgender, or maybe it's a sexually violent man pretending to be a transgender person that's going to violently rape or assault me in the bathroom? Do you see what it opens up? Do you see the liability that opens up?
No, I personally, I don't. I don't, because the idea is what's preventing that from happening now? What's preventing that violent person? Because what I have the problem with is equating the transgender person with a violent rapist. We seem to assume that behavior is extant all the time in all men, whether they be identifying as a male or identifying as a female. We're labeling all men as potential rapists and sexual assault perpetrators. I have a problem with that. It seems that we are choosing that they are guilty and having... No, you said that's the danger. You're assuming they're going to. I'm curious, what is preventing someone that has nefarious actions or things on their mind from walking into a woman's bathroom right now and assaulting a woman?
No, I'm not saying that anything is preventing them, but if you're opening it up for any man to walk into a women's bathroom, then you're opening up that space. I don't think that's right, Bill.
But wait, what prevents it from happening now? You're saying we're opening it up. Isn't it open already?
Well, if you are saying that men should just be able to go into women's spaces, and that's natural, and we just open that up, then it doesn't look weird.
No, here's the idea. What you're saying when you say you're opening it up, you're saying it's opening up the possibility for assault. I disagree. The possibility for assault exists right now. Whether or not the person committing the assault walks into the bathroom. Hang on. No, I don't. I see no information. I see nothing. No, I see nothing showing that this gets worse. And you know why? You know what we don't have right now? We already don't have people dressing in dresses and pretending to be women and going there and assaulting women. If you really had that in mind, if that is your goal, there are a whole bunch of ways you can accomplish that. And guess what they're not doing right now? The people that are having that idea aren't going into bathrooms right now to accomplish that.
What about...
I disagree that this makes it something that's going to happen.
The natural desire, which I think is God-given, to protect the innocence and privacy of women.
Okay, but inside of a bathroom, don't they have stalls? They don't have the urinals. They don't have a trough like we do.
You don't think there should be any private spaces for women?
Women have private spaces. Those stalls are private, aren't they?
But if you allow men to go into them, they're not private spaces. You're just saying the stall is a private space, not the actual bathroom. So the stall is okay to be a private space, but not the bathroom.
Well, here's the thing is, I don't find it as offensive for someone that is identifying as a female, as both of you do, to walk into that bathroom, because I don't believe that they're going in there to assault a woman, to go in there to look at a woman, to go in there to peep at a woman. And again, there are stalls.
But they are going in there as a man.
No, they're going in there as a woman.
As a woman.
They're going in there as a woman.
Jeff, can I interject?
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
Bill, you're a man. That's not very fair. As a woman, you don't understand what it's like to have a man follow you into a bathroom. You just spoken like a true Democrat who wants to take away guns
I'm not
from
a Democrat.
women.
No, stop right there. I will stop you right there. Do not place me in the Democrat Party. And I will get pissed about this. I have been unaffiliated for 20 plus years. I hate both parties. I would burn your party and the Democrat Party to the ground if they gave me the tools to do it today.
Let's get back to her point.
I know, but everybody sits here and comes on here and tells me I'm a Democrat or a liberal.
All right, go ahead, Brandi.
I will not take that.
Take a deep breath. I will burn men to the ground who don't understand what it's like for a woman to walk into the bathroom and be followed in by a man who thinks he's a woman. Okay? That's not right either. And you're disappointing 50% of your viewers who are women who don't feel protected in spaces where they should be allowed to go in and use the bathroom, being followed in whether a man thinks they're a woman or not. It is not okay, Bill. It is not okay. And you're disappointing a lot of your viewers by saying
Here's the thing, Brandi. I have been open and honest on the air here, and I have said that I have changed my mind about access to bathrooms when women feel uncomfortable. And I understand that, and here's the problem I got with this, though. We start out with the idea that it is the transgender person that is making you upset. Yet hang on. No, Brandi. No, Brandi.
You put words in my mouth.
No, I'm not.
Words in my mouth.
No.
You said that I said that it was the transgender community assaulting women. I did not say that. I said it was opening the door. When you think that men are walking in, it looks normal instead of it not looking normal. That is what I was saying. And you put words into my mouth, and that is not okay.
You're saying that because people can then walk in there wearing a dress, all of a sudden assaults are going to happen.
No, I did not say that.
With
I did not say
yes,
people were wearing a dress.
That is what you said. It opens the opportunity. That is exactly what you said.
I said it makes it look more normalized. when men are walking into women's bathrooms. That's what I said, Bill. It makes it look more normal. Back in the day, it was not normal for men to be walking into women's bathrooms. So now it just looks normal. Now it looks okay. That's all I'm saying.
But this is a transgender woman who is presenting herself as a female in the large portion of society.
It's still a man. It's still a man walking into a women's bathroom.
Biologically, but not gender.
God.
Biologically,
Okay,
yes, but not
still a
gender.
man. It's
Biologically, but not gender. Gender and biology are different.
Okay, well, this is a longer conversation. A man.
No, but Brandi, they are. No, but Brandi, we've done this before on the show. Gender is a social construct. Biology is immutable. They're different.
A man is still walking into a women's bathroom.
Biologically, yes, not based on gender.
And I just wonder why we're totally discounting the female concern
of feelings,
of wanting and having privacy and having a place for that privacy. Like, why is it that the transgender's feelings trump the feelings of women?
Population, yes. Why is that, Bill? Wait, am I supposed to be okay with changing in a dressing room with a 6'4" man?
No. Again, dressing rooms are different than the bathroom.
Dressing rooms are different than me going into a stall with a little bitty lock with men right next to me. Okay,
here's
I
the thing.
just want to make
Brandi,
sure you were making that sure.
No. The thing is, I understand the larger issue as far as locker rooms and such, because that is uncomfortable for people that are the same sex and even different sexes. I get it. There are a whole bunch of people that go through locker rooms that feel uncomfortable and don't dress there anyway. I understand that. And again, I will honor, and I'm not going to sit here and fight and say that transgenders absolutely have to be allowed into the female bathroom, because you know what? I'm going to defer to you and the rest of the female population. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay. But where I'm going to push back is this BS assumption that just because we would allow a transgender person in there, all of a sudden it says assault's okay. There's nothing.
I did not say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
I apologize. You said that assault is more likely, that it opens the door for it. However, that door exists already. There's nothing preventing a man who wants to assault a woman from going into a bathroom right now. And what I disagree with is the idea that we're lumping in the transgenders and we're saying that because we allow them to do this, the assaults are going to happen. That's the problem. It's the same reason when we sit here and people say that transgenders are groomers. The same thing. We are assuming a behavior of a population that is not proven by their current behavior.
You extrapolated what I said. I said it normalizes what it looks like when you see, because what you're saying is trans are women, and that is not truth. You're not speaking truth.
Yes, I am, Brandi.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Men are walking into women's restrooms. It looks normal, and that opens the door.
How do you define a woman? Brandi, how do you define a woman?
A woman is a female, born female with a uterus and breasts.
So if the if the breasts are removed, is she half a female at that point, or if she has to have a hysterectomy, is she not a female then?
We're going to go there, are we?
No, I'm curious about this. No, because you're dealing with biology, where gender is a social construct. They're different, Brandi. They're two different things.
Okay. And what I believe, this is what's wrong with this world, but that's okay.
The gender is a social construct, but it is. It exists.
No, I disagree. It is directly attached. And when we're dealing with definitions, right? We're dealing with definitions of what a man and as a woman is. Because something gets removed doesn't necessarily mean that the definition of that person particularly changes. Right. If we say a human being, for instance, human being has 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, 10 fingers, and 10 toes, because that's what we're defining it, as opposed to like a cat or a dog, and somebody loses a finger, we don't say, well, now all of a sudden you're not a human being. We're using broad definitions here to show that a woman is different than a man. A man does not have a uterus.
Biologically,
a woman does not have a penis.
But we know that gender is a social construct.
We're making those definitions. It's not purely a social construct. You're making it purely a social construct.
No, I'm not.
It is related directly to biology.
No, over and over again, I've said they are different. That someone can be born biologically one sex and can present themselves something different as far as gender. That happens. And we can have lots of... You're going to make me do the space rhinos again. You're going to make me do space rhinos again, aren't you? You're going to make me do space rhinos again.
Because,
I can give you a long list of examples where gender is a social construct.
Because somebody presents as something does not make them it. So they can go, I present as a woman, it does not make them a woman. And the problem you have with these bad definitions is you're dealing with laws now. Women have lost out on sports opportunities, medals, scholarships, career opportunities, because we cannot clearly define as a culture what a woman is.
Yes, we can. We just disagree with the idea it's a gender construct. And it is. It is a gender construct. The idea that we would have things like we could go back to, even if, I mean, again, I'll stay away from the space rhinos. If we go back to what we talked about, the Amazon cultures in which the women were the dominant, the women took on the male roles and the men took on the female roles inside of society. It didn't make the men women and the women men. Those were their genetically assigned roles. That same thing here. We have that same thing.
And I've been with you for a year now, but I still don't understand the space rhinos. All right.
It's a gender construct.
I want to finish with Brandi Bradley here. Brandi, this was a big win. I think it was a big win. I think most people look at this and go, this was a big win for protecting women. Talk about the continued fights you're going to have in Colorado. It's a deep blue state. I mean, down at the state capitol during the opening speech, they were lauding to the point of a standing ovation transgenderism. Give us a preview of the continued battles you're going to face here in Colorado.
I mean, he's our governor singing Taylor Swift, and all I could think about was Morgan Wallen, lies. Homelessness is down. I just read an article. It was up 30%. We're spending $155 million. It's going to be interesting, $1 billion of budget deficit, to see everyone fighting over their bills with fiscal notes. I don't know where the money tree is, but I'd love to find it. I'm going to be fighting my own battles to protect children in Colorado, and I got a great bill to put child rapists in jail. Probably will have a fiscal note, so we'll see how they plan on killing that. Most child rapists are probation eligible, so about 1 in 100 go to jail in our state, which is obviously way worse than what is happening in California. But we'll continue to fight these horrific and unconstitutional gun bills. Huge Second Amendment warrior. And so we'll continue to fight for our constitutional freedoms. And you can follow me on Brandi Bradley for HD39.com.
Brandi, you're a real true warrior.
Yes, you are.
I want to thank you. And
this was fun. Nothing personal. This was fun. I appreciate you.
And I was going to point that out. There's no other show in Colorado where that debate you just heard between Brandi Bradley and Bill Thorpe would take place. And Brandi,
I appreciate the intellectual honesty, and I appreciate the emotion and everything she brings to the table, but so appreciate her being willing to go back and forth. And at the core of this, I'm going to go back to, while Brandi and I disagree, if we have to talk about who gets to make the rules and the choices about who's going to go into those bathrooms, I will, despite my position, defer to Brandi and defer to the women. If it makes them uncomfortable, okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be dogmatic about it. I can disagree with it, but I understand why that choice would be made, and I will respect that. I want to put a pin in there to make sure I'm not sitting here and saying you're completely and totally wrong. We disagree on it, Brandi, but in that choice, as far as the bathrooms, I'll let you make the decision. I'm okay with that.
Brandi, I'll give you the final word.
No, thanks, Bill. I love being on the show. I appreciate the going back and forth. I think that's what makes this world go round. We have to be able to see other people's opinions and views and be respectful of those.
Great. Well, we appreciate you. We know you got to get down to the state capitol.
Yeah.
Keep working. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. So into this morning. We appreciate you, Brandi. Have a great day.
After this, man, she can take on anyone down the state capitol.
And the thing is, we have gone back and forth off air, and so I knew that I could push and go in a certain area, and she'd be okay with it, and it'd be fun. And I'm sorry to start her day off that way, and I'm sure she wasn't really expecting, but I apologize for that. But I so appreciate the fact that she's willing to engage. It's fantastic.
Right. Do you know a high school student who has a passion for engaging in culture and political issues, that likes to debate? Maybe just like what we did. Well, the knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics, with an emphasis in public policy, prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics with an unapologetically Christian and foundational foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill show. As you can imagine, Bill has lit up everything. Mary in Inglewood, allowing trans and female bathrooms makes it hard for women to speak out against it. As Brandi says, it opens the door to make it easier for unscrupulous men. So not necessarily trans, but just unscrupulous men to enter a female bathroom. The female can't oppose it, or she may face opposition, maybe even legal. 5,600. When you allow men in women's bathrooms, you invite rape and assault.
Yeah,
it's a non-negotiable fact.
Here's the thing: I disagree with the idea about and the terminology of the invite. I understand why it's being used, because the problem that I have is that nothing is preventing it right now. I understand the premise of, hey, if we allow these people that are dressed this way or presenting themselves as female, that now we feel that it's going to happen more often. The issue being, there's no security preventing that from happening now. So I disagree that it's more likely. And here's the real problem that I have with it, is it seems to paint transgenders as people that like to do assaults. It seems to paint them and say, because we are going to allow these people into the bathrooms, we are expecting more women to be assaulted. That's where I disagree with that line of reasoning. And there's nothing preventing anybody who wants to assault a woman right now from doing it.
Here's where I think the breakdown happens. I think from what I understand listening to you is you're going, we're allowing one person, a trans person, to now use the bathroom. What I'm reading women is we've now just opened the door for anybody to walk in.
Yeah. And again,
and I think they're right. So,
and I disagree, because nothing's preventing anybody from walking in right now.
So we don't culturally allow it. And this is a change. But this change is allowing people to do that.
You know what else we don't culturally allow? Rape and assault. So why do we assume it happens then? Because if it's just we don't allow it culturally.
Because men rape and assault women.
No, I know, but you're talking about cultural allowances.
Now we have taken a private place and just allowed men to go into it. We've got to get to a break. We're way over.
That's allowing rape.
Phone lines are open. 303-696-1971. We'll get to them. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill show. Yesterday, a federal judge struck down Biden administration's Title IX rewrite. This will not force schools to incorporate transgender athletes to women's sports, locker rooms, those types of things. Let's go to the phone lines. Jack, Denver, good morning. You're on the Jeff and Bill show.
Yeah, why am I wrong?
You guys are fun. I really enjoy it. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, but I enjoy Billy's debate skills. But he's on the wrong side of every issue, Jeff, and you're always on the right side.
I
And I'm gonna
appreciate
have to
that,
hammer
Jack.
him a little bit.
Yeah, so what
I'm
am I
not
wrong
an-
about on this one, man? Please.
Here's what you're wrong about. Totally. Okay. Your argument seems to be that allowing biological males into women's bathrooms is okay because they get to decide what they are. Okay, that is not the issue. You keep going back to the social construct.
Yeah.
Okay, for hundreds of years, the social construct has been that women do not feel comfortable having biological males in their bathrooms. And that's been going on for years and years and years. If they are uncomfortable with it, we all have mothers and wives and daughters, and I think we're obligated to continue that. And I think the answer to that is in their control, not yours. Now,
No,
your
Jack.
argument that there's never been a history of anybody being violated because a transgender went into a woman's bathroom, that's flawed.
Well, Jack,
Because
hang on a
what
sec,
that
Jack.
does is it facilitates this type of behavior.
But Jack,
And women are not comfortable with it. And as far as I'm concerned, the women are the one that make this decision. I
here's-
love to
Jack, hang on a sec,
argue
Jack,
with you,
Jack,
Billy.
hang on a second. I appreciate that, man. Here's the thing. I think you are right about allowing the women to make the choice. I do, even though I disagree with it, and even though I take the position that the transgender people should be allowed inside the bathroom, I will allow the women to make the choice because I understand their objection is not to transgender. Their objection is to man. That's it. And if that's what it is, okay, I'm fine with that. Where I push back is the assumption that this then allows it and makes it easier because right now there's nothing preventing it. I disagree with the idea that putting on a dress makes it easier to walk through that door and assault a woman because anybody
There is
that has
something to
that
prevent it, Billy.
No, hang on, there isn't. What's preventing it?
Because the social construct in this country today, and as it has been for 100 years, is that's not tolerable by society.
Okay, hang on.
Now,
Stop
you're
right
talking
there.
about
Jack,
a legal
Jack,
interpretation.
Jack, wait, stop
I
right
can
there.
do law
Jack,
better than
wait,
anybody
I
can.
understand. I'm not talking legal interpretation. I'm talking. Stop right there. You're talking about the idea that because we allow it, it then makes it okay that we're acquiescing and saying the assault is okay. That's where you're going with that. I disagree. The assault is never going to be okay, whether it's a transgender person or someone that identifies as a male. But assuming the problem that we have is by putting on a dress, we assume the assault's going to take place. It is against our social construct right now to allow the assaults and the rape. Putting on a dress doesn't mean it's okay to assault and rape. That's where
we
I
got
disagree.
about
That's why I
15
push back.
seconds. Jack, final word.
Billy, we cannot establish there's proof that this will happen. What we can establish is that women are uncomfortable with this. That's the tradition, and it will facilitate the gravitation towards this.
Jack, appreciate the call.
Yeah, I appreciate
Thanks.
that.
We're just running out of time.
Yeah,
We'll
we are.
continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill
I
show.
agree with a lot of what he says. This is 710 KNUS. Why am I wrong?
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill, and a whole lot of text messages and phone calls, and Brandi Bradley going toe-to-toe. That's the types of battles we like.
It's wonderful. Brandi and I are actually talking right now, off air, back and forth, because she's wonderful.
When you're going to meet out back?
Oh yeah, it's no. The idea is meet out back to hug it out, because again, she gets it too. She's like, no, this isn't personal, and it's all intellectual, and she's great. And I was just gonna text her and say, she's like, oh, and she's talking about the fact that sometimes I scare her. I'm like, I appreciate that. I'm like, people in my family say that too. And the idea that I'm gonna tell her is, imagine if the two of us were lawmakers down at the Capitol. If they saw us working together, walking down the hall, people are gonna run away. People are gonna run away and hide, and they should on that one. That'd be fun.
So we'll continue the conversation, but coming up this January 20th, it's inauguration day, and maybe you wanted to go to Washington, D.C. to watch it, but the plane flights and the hotels and all that stuff, it's just too crazy. Well, we've got the alternative for you. That morning at the View House restaurant, the one and only 710 KNUS Mike Boyle is going to be hosting a presidential inauguration watch party. It begins at 10 a.m., runs to 1:30 p.m. That is the perfect time for when all those inauguration activities are taking place, and you can hang out and have a lot of fun with 710 KNUS listeners and the Mike Boyle. He joins us. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, morning.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Jeff. Jeff, I appreciate you being our designated hitter and going to Washington to represent KNUS and the restaurant show. So since we couldn't all go, since you talked about the problem with flights and the expensive hotels, we're going to throw a poor man's inauguration party.
I love that.
Well, and it's not because I'm a rich man with lots of money to spend. I've just done it enough to know where to get the cheap hotels and all that other stuff. So it's not, and how to get inauguration tickets. It's a whole process. You literally have to devote days to trying to put it all together. It's not easy. And when you can just go hang out with Mike Boyle and have some good food and a drink and all that stuff, why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Especially at the View House Centennial, be fantastic.
For those of us that have had the pleasure of staying in Washington, D.C., there's no such thing as a cheap hotel. I want the listeners to be assured. There's expensive, and then there's uber expensive. And so I'm glad that you were able to find something. Yeah, you know what? The last 4 years, both you two and I have been just trying to maintain some sort of mental health and just trying to get through the last 4 years. And I thought, you know what? It's not going to be a big deal. We've got a private room at the View House. There is some limited space. We're going to do a nice lunch buffet and just kind of let people relax and decompress and hang out with people that are so glad that January 20th. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm counting the days, the hours, and the minutes.
I am, but probably not the same way you are.
Now, Mike, I got to ask you, did you see some of the video of Donald Trump and Barack Obama at the funeral?
I did.
You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of what probably life was like with you in high school, in the back of the class, joking, ribbing each other a little bit, having fun. The teacher going, Mike, keep it down back there.
Well, there certainly was a lot of that, but yes, I like the real or imagined camaraderie that they seem to be sharing, the moment they seem to be sharing. One of the things that I like about Donald Trump, and this is somebody that knows more about body language than I, but he's always leaning forward. He's always got his arms on his legs, and he's got his hands clasped, like, let's get on with this. He's ready to get going, and every indication I've seen is that he wants to hit the ground running shortly after the inauguration on January 20th. So anyway, I just thought that I called Tim, the wonderful banquet manager at the View House, and I said, can you put out a nice buffet lunch? So it's going to include admission, the lunch, your coffee or tea. There will be a cash bar. I have no objection to drinking at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, especially if it's a celebratory type of cocktail. And so Tickets are available at Ticket Tailor. You can go to the restaurant show inauguration party. You can go to my website, mikeboyle.com, and that's MIKEBOYLE.com, and that will have the information. But I think it's just going to be fun. I think it's just going to be relaxing. And I think it'll also, I did this back in 2020 and found it to be I'm going to call them patriots, just people. I suspect that there will be MAGA hats. We might say the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you imagine what heresy that is to some people? I think we're just going to relax and have a good time and hang around with like-minded folks.
Talking with Mike Boyle, the host of the Restaurant Show. Now, Mike, even if you were a Kamala Harris supporter, I think what people find is when they hang out with MAGA Trump supporters, that it actually ends up being quite a bit of fun.
Well, you know what? I agree with that. And I think that whatever angst you may have from the results of the election, if you did find yourself on a losing situation, is just like we did in 20. Move on, roll up your sleeves and just get to work. And whether or not it's something that I consider productive, whether or not it's something I consider constructive, but I think that, you know what, life is a participation game, and you gotta show up. You gotta play. So yeah, I would imagine that there's a lot of people that won't want to attend the party. I'd just as soon have a bunch of people that want to be there and want to celebrate the good news.
Talking with Mike Boyle, host of the Restaurant Show. He's hosting a presidential inauguration watch party, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., January 20th at the View House. If you go to mikeboyle.com, that's MIKEBOYLE.com, you can click on the calendar and it's right there. Now, Mike, you're from Southern California, from what I understand. Have you had friends, family members affected by the fires?
Well, I actually grew up in Pacific Palisades, Jeff. I've always just told people I'm a Southern California boy, but from my infancy through about 12 years old, my parents, I lived in Pacific Palisades. I went to that Palisades Elementary School, that beautiful Spanish hacienda-style building that's been on all the news with that clock tower. The school has been burned down. The clock tower has survived. I went to Marquez Elementary, which is another school there. The house that I grew up in has burned down. And so I don't have, I've obviously moved on. So I don't, and Pacific Palisades, a lot of people think that it's kind of a Johnny-come-lately. My next-door neighbor wasn't Jennifer Aniston. My next-door neighbor wasn't Brad Pitt. But it's always had that mystique. It's always had that little uniqueness. And the village, the downtown village with the Bay Theater, where we all went when there were double features, to the House of Lee Chinese restaurant, just a small place. It's even today, it's only got a population of a little over 20,000. So when you hear that 5,600 structures have been burned in that town, that obviously is having a significant impact. But it was a wonderful place to grow up, and we walked to school. We rode our bikes to school. It just was a completely wonderful environment. California back in the 50s only had about 10 million people. Now it's got 40. So it was just it was a wonderful place to grow up. It was very insulated, but just it's
heartbreaking.
When my daughter and I happened to be in California when she was a teenager, I said, you need to learn a little bit about me and my background. That may sound a bit narcissistic, but I said, so I took her to Pacific Palisades. I took her to the home that I grew up in. I knocked on the door. Sir, I grew up in this house. Can I show my daughter the house? That clubhouse in your backyard. My dad built that for me. And then I took her around to see some other things, like the military high school I went to in Cal Poly Pomona and so forth. But so, I have a little bit of you. We're all a product of where we grew up. We're all a product of the growing up circumstances. So, I have very pleasant memories of Pacific Palisades, being able to leave the house and walk about a block to the cliffs and just walk down the dirt road to the beach, cross the PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, and go to the beach. I remember leaving the house on Sunset Boulevard, going a couple blocks to Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, the Sunset Boulevard, which ends at the Pacific Coast Highway, and turning right and going down and turning back down on Chautauqua Avenue to the Pacific Coast Highway to a place called the Dovell Club, right on the border of Pacific Palisades and Santa Monica, which was a private club. It wasn't Bel Air, but it was a place where parents joined to take their kids to go swimming. So, yeah, I have very fond memories. I have a lot of pictures of the place.
It is heartbreaking to see what's happened, and our thoughts and prayers with everybody involved with it. Well, on a different note, Mike Boyle, if you want to listen to his show, it's Saturdays 3 to 5, Sundays 10 to noon, right here on 710 KNUS. And again, if you wanted to be a part of the presidential inauguration watch party he's hosting, from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on January 20th. You can go to mikeboyle.com. That's at the View House where his event will be taking place. MikeBoyle.com. Mike, thanks for taking time to share this opportunity for our listeners.
And thanks for letting us end it on a nice, big, happy, positive January 20th party type note. And I'll be looking forward to hearing your coverage from the inauguration as well, Jeff.
You bet. Thank you, Mike.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Have a good day. That was really cool. That was great. So again, View House, the 20th. It's also a daytime thing. So you can come out there, spend some time during the day. And then if you have other parties, possibly in the evening, you've got that opportunity as well. And again, View House, Centennial, they do it right. And Mike's going to do it right for you as well. Former restaurant owner. He knows he's not going to come there and not come correct. So you want to have a fun celebration, go right ahead. Even if you want to tag along with some of your friends, they're MAGA and it may not be you. Go ahead. I guarantee it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I wanted to spend a moment here before we get back to me pissing people off about my friends at Balance Well Space. I know that sometimes I am a pain in your neck, but I want to talk about the pain elsewhere in your body. That stuff in your back, your knees, your shoulder. You don't have to live with it on a daily basis. I'm not anymore, and I was for years. I thought that's just what happens when you get old. Things start hurting, and then you deal with it. It doesn't have to be that way. Thanks to my friends at Balance Well Space and something called integrative medicine. I had no idea what that was until I started talking to them. Integrative medicine means you get a whole bunch of stuff under one roof. You have neuropathic care, physical rehabilitation, regenerative care, trigger point injections, wave therapy, chiropractic care, and more, all at a one-stop office. All of those things are taken care of with their fantastic medical team, and that's the really cool part. See, you contact them at balancewellspace.com. You go into the office, you get your evaluation. They ask you the questions, they do the manipulations, the poking, the prodding, the x-rays, all that stuff, and then they put together a custom pain plan just for you. It's dealing with your problems, but most importantly, dealing with your goals. What are those things you're not doing anymore? It sounds stupid, but evidently my kids, two girls upstairs, have no idea how the laundry actually gets downstairs into the laundry room. They think some sort of elves magically come and whisk it away. Well, that elf is me. And they let their laundry pile up. So it's a huge, heavy basket. I'm going down 2 different flights of stairs. I was worried about my left knee. My left knee was getting wobbly. It was giving out sometimes. There were times I'm coming down those stairs going sideways just to make sure I don't fall. That's crazy. Now, thanks to Balance Well Space, we did some traction on my knee, did some manipulation, and did some injections. I'm regenerating the meniscus that I tore 9 years ago in that knee as we talk. That's the difference they're making. My left knee is now my strong knee. When I'm out during the week doing bar trivia, I'm leaning and locking that left knee because it's the one that is more stable right now. They can make that same change in your life, but you need to give them the opportunity. Brand new offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2. balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com. When you reach out to them, tell me you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because boy, does it help us out. And they're going to make a change in your life today. But make the first step, balancewellspace.com.
That's great to hear, Bill. All right. So yesterday, in addition to lots of things, we're going to talk about the stock show parade here in a second. But Jarhead Polis had his state of the state, where he laid out all the different issues he's going to take on. It was interesting. There was one moment where he comes out really in support of school choice, And I think that was a message to other Democrats out there that any effort to take down charter schools, for instance, may be vetoed by him. He's kind of a unique Democrat in that sense that there's a little bit of he's more willing to allow for school choice than the other Democrats are that seem to want to destroy it. But I sat down, Bill, and did my civic duty of
Yes, you did.
watching all 1 hour of his speech. And I felt for our listeners, it would be best to sum it all up. Bring a little bit of brevity to an hour-long State of the State speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, the summary of Jared Polis's State of the State speech.
The Honorable Jared Polis, Governor of the state of Colorado.
Altitude. Altitude is in many ways our secret ingredient. Potatoes, Colorado grown potatoes, Colorado altitude, and also the Rockies play here. Altitude is more at altitude. The sun's rays shine stronger and brighter. Right here, right now, right here, right now. The governor is a nerd, and I'll oppose anyone and everyone higher to even greater altitude. Mycorrhizal fungi networks or wood wide webs, expanding public transit and rail, where Scotty can beam us up to Craig. As they say in The Mandalorian, this is the way. Climate change, our bold climate action, outdoor equity, eliminating the penny, needless bureaucracy and paperwork. And we are committed to holding cattle rustlers accountable. So I can speak for another hour. For a woman to make her own reproductive health care choices, including abortion, and many other immigrants who enrich our communities and economy every day are living in fear. Fabulous Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. And defying gravity, RuPaul says, reading is what? Fundamental. 90% of students, imagine a class of 25 students, 22 are behind grade level in math and reading. Sometimes simply breathing can be an act of strength. Lord of the Ring fans know that one does not simply walk into Mordor. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body,
Your body.
your marriage,
Put the
it's
dang
your
mask on.
choice. Diversity is a strength, not a threat. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. Tickets as low as $19 for adults, $10 for kids.
Yes, Jared Polis is that weird. When we come back from news and comment with Blake Olson, can we talk about outdoor equity?
That is a weird one. Even for me.
Like you can't just walk outside. Look into that more.
I don't
But
understand.
first,
You know what we need? We need some ski equity. I need to be able to make that affordable again, please. Yeah,
right,
that's what we
that's a
need.
better use of our tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Than Venezuelan housing.
Yes, that and fix I-70 going to the mountains. But
All
okay.
right. First news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. Real quick, that was awesome with Mike. He is a Colorado treasure. What a great interview. That was awesome. Love it. 14 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 42 today. Our top story. The commies are loving this. President-elect Trump is being sentenced to unconditional discharge in his New York Judge Mersham case. The sentence is imposed without imprisonment and a fine or probation supervision. Trump was found guilty on 34 felony counts last year on garbage. It comes after the Supreme Court rejected his request to block sentencing on Thursday.
Because I had those sprinklers up there, the flames came down the hill, and you could see from where the sprinklers arced in the backyard that the flames came right up to that water and stopped.
Some progress being made in battling the deadly Southern California wildfires. Officials say the Palisades fire is now 6% contained. It's one of 5 active wildfires in Southern California that have killed at least 10 people and destroyed thousands of structures. Commander Jim Craig.
Below me are about 14 houses, my neighbors, who I've been able to tell them their houses are still there. Got out with my family. I got trapped by the flames going down Sunset. It was difficult. It was like Afghanistan type difficult.
NBC's Rory O'Neill on with Jeff and Billy this morning.
They have got to take advantage of these conditions that are improving to get an upper hand on these fires. You've got today and tomorrow, Saturday, because the winds are going to start to pick up again by late Sunday when they're 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. And that's what got us into this in the first place. So the firefighting effort now has more airplanes, more helicopters, and some fresh firefighters have been coming in from other states to help out.
And of course, there are thousands of stories like this one.
I'm 20 now, and I've been here since I was around 2 years old, and it's just, I've never experienced such an emotional pain in my life, just seeing my home like this.
And this is the assistant fire chief in LA. Just unbelievable, freaking pre-produced PSA, public service announcement. She should be fired. Speaking of fire,
you want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better.
We don't care what you look like. Just put out the fire and carry people out.
She's strong enough to do this, or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Wow, he got himself in the wrong place.
She's really servant oriented, isn't she?
Yeah,
She's just like, great servant. I'm here to serve the people.
Yes.
That type of mentality. No.
Yeah, she should actually become a doctor. She could really save a lot of lives. I mean, even more lives. God.
How dare you inconvenience me with your weight?
Right. First lesbian assistant fire chief. And I mean, it's up and down. I mean, I don't care. I don't care who you sleep with. Can you carry people out and put the fires out? Are you strong? Are you brave? We don't care about you. Okay. We don't. You have a helmet and a shield on. All right. You can have conversations with people. What an idiot. She needs to be fired. President Biden approved a federal disaster declaration for LA on Wednesday, then announced he'd be covering 100% of the cost for the next 180 days. Some funding will be cash assistance to cover immediate needs like food, while other assistance will go toward fire management and removing debris. I didn't see that with the people in North Carolina.
Yeah.
The Biden administration stiff-armed, swatted by a federal judge over the attempt to ruin Title IX. Colorado House Rep Brandi Bradley, District 39, on with the fellas last hour talking about the ruling.
This is absolutely a victory for fairness. But the judge also found that the Department of Education overstepped its authority because they expanded the scope of Title IX to cover athletics. It was never meant to cover athletics. This was meant to cover education. And they overstepped by saying this covered athletics. So these girls and women who have been stripped of medals and scholarships, this was never meant to go into locker rooms and athletics. And that's what this judge just found. And this is a glorious day for girls who have been working their whole lives to get scholarships for colleges and different opportunities. This is a huge win.
Notre Dame beats Penn State, advances to the College Football National Championship. ESPN reporter heads to Woke Island. But Notre Dame, the head coach, Marcus Freeman, he doesn't play the game. Good for him.
Because you are the first black head coach to go to a national championship game in college football. Just hearing that response alone, how much does this mean to you?
Just hearing that response alone. Do it, Coach.
I've said this before. I don't ever want to take attention away from the team.
Yes.
It is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter, great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this.
Yes.
But this ain't about me. This is about us. And we're going to celebrate what we've done because it's something special.
Rooting for him and rooting for Notre Dame. The NFL's wild card round begins with the AFC doubleheader on Saturday. The Texans play host to the Chargers. The Ravens take on the Steelers. The Broncos in Buffalo Sunday, back in the playoffs, kickoff at 11 o'clock. We'll have the predictions coming up at 9 o'clock. It's 9 in Golden, 12 in Glendale, 14 in Denver. TGIF, Jeff and Billy continue. All right, Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It'll be a quiet Friday weather-wise for Denver and the Front Range. It'll be cool, sunny, highs upper 30s. Lows tonight in the 20s, increasing cloudiness overnight. Saturday and Sunday and Monday will be kind of blustery. Temperatures will be mostly in the 30s. Lows will be teens. It'll be kind of windy at times. There'll be a few passing snow showers possible Saturday. Highs this weekend will be 30s, lows at 19s, and remaining cold into Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We got a lot to talk about. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go back to the phone lines. Jim, Denver, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, after listening to Blake's broadcast about how the nation is now going to have to pay for the fire damage in California, I want to discuss the socialism that California actually is. I just looked up the statistics from 2023. California received $15 billion from the nation, from the Fed, from the nation as a whole. So do you know how much California put in their tax base into the nation?
I'd love to know this. I'd love to know it.
$234 billion is what California put in 2023, and they received $15 billion back. Now that is definitely socialism, is it not?
Yeah.
Hello.
And
hello.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure that is, because they seem to have put in more than they got back.
That's like, I think that's the joke he's making.
I know.
Hey guys, let's discuss Florida. You want to talk about Florida? You want to talk about socialism? Yeah, Florida is not socialism, but financially they would be socialism. California, we call socialism, but financially they are the opposite of Florida. So 15 versus 234 billion, that's a pretty good ratio.
You know, Jim, this has become, well, two things real quick. First of all, I don't think people understand how much cities and states rely upon grants and funding that comes from the federal government. It is massive. And if Donald Trump is able to find a way to roll it back based upon sanctuary city and state status, you're going to see these blue states and blue cities like Denver, Colorado, have really serious consequences. But secondly,
the states.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the states and the cities are going to have to raise taxes massively. Otherwise, they're going to have to shut their doors. And then we won't have so much government if they shut their doors, right?
But I've also heard arguments that this becomes the reason for going out there and getting pork back for your district. So
correct.
If we're spending, so California, for instance, is spending $234 billion in taxes and gets $15 billion back. Well, come on, Adam Schiff, go get another special project for a bridge built or whatever it might be. And the pork spending ends up coming back into some of these communities based upon this reasoning here.
Yeah, you know, California would be a wonderful, wonderful place if it weren't for all the damn people.
That's good.
You guys have a great week.
I like that. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that, man.
People is more the elected officials. I used to live I lived in Santa Barbara for 4 years and Pasadena for 2.
I appreciate that about Jim, because when he does that, it reminds me of the movie Clerks. Because they're in the movie, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, Jeff, but in the movie, there's a guy that works at the video store, and they ask him about it. He's like, "Oh, this job's great, except for all the customers." So, you know, kind of idea. That's what it is. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. One time in the movie, a person walks in and there's a cat on the counter, and they say, "Hi, oh, cute cat. What's the cat's name?" And he says, "Annoying customer." The person goes, "Oh, okay." So, yeah. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Jim.
Bill, we have. What happened to the?
I've broken the text message machine.
Yeah, I know. There was one that was really. Oh, there it is.
Broken it.
So Christy Davis, the chapter chair of Moms for Liberty, has written.
She written in.
She wrote in.
I don't. And here's the thing.
Quite a bit. I mean, like 7 paragraphs.
Really, I don't spend a lot of time. There's some people I recognize as far as names, Marion, Wyoming.
Well, she's new.
And
She's
Janet,
brand new.
And so I normally don't interact with names and stuff that are on there. So again, when I'm responding to texts, I'm responding. When I respond to the text, I'm responding to your words, not to you personally. I'm going to take that without favor or fear or prejudice. I'm just going to take what you wrote in front of me and I'm going to respond to it. I won't internalize as far as who's saying it. I'm going to take everything equally. Well, and that's what I'm going to read. This is cool.
What's happening right now is what Bill and I have envisioned the show would be, which is where the debates on the direction of our city, state, and nation are taking place. Like right here, in the amount of text messages. And Christy Davis, chapter chair, Moms for Liberty, El Paso County, putting in her 2 cents. Awesome. We love it. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Speaking of Danny C., I love Dan Caplis. I've gotten to know Dan over the years. This guy's pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith,
such a great guy.
America. He is solid when it comes to serving other people, unlike some other people out there.
If you're going through something and Dan can help you out, let me assure you that when that letterhead crosses the desk of the people in charge at the insurance company, they step to. They pay attention. They know what Dan comes with. They understand his arsenal. They understand his team. They understand his experience. If you feel like you're being ignored, Jeff's going to tell you about the guy you got to reach out to.
Exactly right. He's a solid guy and a real winner in the courtroom. Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado injury cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is so trusted. That letterhead means so much that they're the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. You may say to yourself, well, if this guy's this good and gets this many victories, I probably can't afford him. Well, listen to this. Motivated by his calling to serve others, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, here's the phone number. Put it in your phone now so you're not scrambling when an accident's taking place to try to get a hold of Dan Caplis. He should be one of your first calls. Here we go. 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S, law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good music to kick off Friday. You head to work and get ready for the weekend. Welcome back. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill show. Let's go back to the phone lines. Gary, Denver. Good morning, Gary. You're on the Jeff and Bill show.
Hey, morning.
Good morning. Have you all been noticing that both Trump and Musk are starting to walk back some of the things
that
they said during the campaign?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, Musk came out and said, we're not going to cut $2 trillion. It'd be a miracle if we cut $1 trillion, which basically means they'll be lucky if they cut $1 billion.
Yeah, which is crazy because he was on stage following Dana White during one of the rallies, and Dana White asked Musk specifically, how much are you going to cut? And he said, at least $2 trillion. And then when he's talking to Mark Penn yesterday, he says, well, $2 trillion, we have to figure in overage. So if we shoot for $2 trillion, I think maybe the best we can do is $1 trillion. So he has cut it by 50%, and we haven't even hit Inauguration Day.
Yeah, and three others that have been walked back by Trump or his administration. One is that resolution of the Ukraine war is now going to take 6 months, not 24 hours. They said that 2 days ago. Third, we may not be able to reduce prices. It may be more difficult than we thought. Trump said that. Third or fourth, immigration. We're not going to deport 10 or 20 million. Maybe we'll deport 1.5 million. So don't get me wrong. I'd rather have Trump in there than Biden. But it just shows the difference between what he says during a campaign and what realistic goals are.
Yeah, and Gary, I mean, you're not wrong. It's I always kind of chalk it up to the difference between campaigning and governing. I mean, I've seen this from just about every politician ever. They like to talk about these grandiose promises. I mean, you can go to Jared Polis's State of the State speech yesterday, where they're going to solve all these problems. We're going to get in there and help. You just need to let us do it. And then, we don't quite get everything we originally achieved. But yeah, no, Gary, appreciate the call.
Wait, one last thing. This is a humorous note. I don't know if you saw Jimmy Carter's ceremony yesterday, but it was hilarious to watch. Trump, he seemed to want to chat with Obama constantly. and Obama looked like, the expression was like when you're on an airplane and somebody won't stop talking to you.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw two guys that were actually having some fun together, which was nice to see after all this electioneering. A little jabbing, a little guys in the back of the classroom having some fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Gary, and I appreciate the phone call. And I understand the idea of, what you're going to say on the campaign trail is going to be different than what you're going to accomplish. But when you make it a central theme of your campaign, I think it's fair to hold you accountable. That's why, despite everybody being mad, I am going to continue to ask, where's my free wall? We were promised a free wall in the campaign of 2015. I got no free wall. And it's fair because that was one of the top 3 campaign promises. And among the top campaign promises from Trump were that Doge was going to cut $2 trillion, as Musk said, from the budget. And now he's walking it back and cutting it by 50%. And Donald Trump said he is going to lower your costs of grocery store, everything else. And then in an interview says, oh, well, once prices go up, it's very hard to bring them down. Didn't say that a single time on the campaign trail. He said he could, and then turns around in an interview and said, well, it's hard to do that. That's different than making a campaign promise that you fudge a little bit on. This is one that he's saying isn't accomplishable, isn't possible. Yet he ran on it over and over and over again. And many people said they voted for him because of it. That was one of the main motivators, was the economy and him bringing prices down. It's like when we talked the gal with the oil and gas earlier in the week, and I asked her about Trump dropping energy prices by 50%. And her response was, well, they say a lot of things. And that might not be achievable. Same thing. I think it's fair to hold them accountable. But yeah, you're right. They do say a lot of things they don't follow through on. Both sides.
I was gonna say we can play Jared Polis's thing.
Oh, Polis, there's Polis stuff. Yeah, there's stuff from Kamala Harris. Absolutely, stuff that she was saying that she wasn't going to accomplish. A heck of a lot. Biden has some stuff as well. Absolutely. Yeah, yep. It's not alone, but when it becomes some of those top voting issues, I think it's fair.
Well, and I think we should hold all of our elected officials accountable. So I think you and I, Billy, agree on that. So
finally, once today, we'll put that in the agree column. The other column's all full.
We got a lot to talk about, including a little cowboy poetry coming up. I'll give you an update from the National Western Stock Show Parade that took place yesterday. Went down there, had a ton of fun. And speaking of just lots of promises, Jared Polis gave his State of the State speech yesterday. And he was willing to push back on his own party with regards to school choice.
That's interesting. Why do you think he's doing that on school choice? Why this?
Well,
not versus
he started
other stuff?
a number of charter schools.
Okay, that makes sense.
And look, not everybody is fully all in conservative on all policies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing on the other side. All progressive. There are times where they break a little bit. And he sent some pretty strong messages to Democrats that he's not going to tolerate any type of threats to school choice. In fact, use this line. We're going to fund students, not systems.
Ooh,
that is a conservative rallying cry.
That is, and
fund students, not systems.
Yeah, and I do appreciate him, and I do think that school choice is very, very important and vitally important. I think charter schools are vitally important. Where I disagree with some of my conservative friends, and sometimes you, Jeff, is should we be using government funds for religious schools and private schools? That's where I cross the line, because there is a public school and there is a private school. And that delineation to me is important based on where tax dollars goes. And I also believe it's important based on allowing those private educational institutions to continue to make their own choices about things. Because as soon as you take federal money, there are some federal rules that come with it. And I want them to be allowed to make the choice independently of those rules.
And this is where you and I see it differently, because tax dollars are the people's dollars, and the people should be able to determine where they want it to go. But I don't know. If you listen to Jared Polis's speech yesterday, give us a call. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think of his direction in the state? And do you think he could ever be elected president?
That's what I want to know. What do you think the chances are of him running president? If you had to game plan that today, you had to go lay down. We gave you a magic $1,000 from the Jeff and Bill money pot that doesn't exist. But we sent you to Vegas. Where would you put that? Where would you rank? Would you bet on Polis, and would you put it all down on him? Or do you choose someone like Newsom, who's having some fire issues?
Yeah, Newsom's done. But I see Jared Polis as the classic throwaway VP candidate that we can't even remember. Tim Kaine, Walls. I've already forgotten his name.
Exactly.
Jared Polis. That's the category he lives in.
VP. That's okay. That can be a solid one. I can see that, because if you're trying to, rank up your Midwest bona fides, and you're trying to do kind of a mountain state, and you're trying to do a guy that also, that would make sense. I can see
Libertarian.
VP. Yeah.
By the way, yesterday, can I just take a real quick moment on this, and then we'll go to a break?
That's all you. Yeah.
He kept going, the free state of Colorado, the free state of Colorado. We're the free state of Colorado.
What?
Free state of Colorado.
Has he seen my bills?
And then
I'm paying for stuff.
The attacks that are coming from that institution on our Second Amendment rights, there is nothing about freedom in their attacks on Second Amendment rights. All right.
I love the fact that you went Second Amendment, and I'm like, do you have any idea how much I'm paying? That is fantastic. And you're right about that. So you are absolutely right about that. Free state of Colorado. And yet we're trying to constrain things that wrap around.
Even on a clock if they get their way.
Yeah.
All right. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk station, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Jared Polis gives the state of the state yesterday, lays out his vision for it. He wants to take on crime, wants to take on lowering healthcare costs, all the stuff he currently has the power to do, and has had at least 5 or 6 years to be able to do it, and hasn't been able to do it. But it is interesting to watch just Democrats strut around.
You know what reminds
they
me
have
of?
total control.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of when the president comes out and releases his 10-year budget every year. I just what? I mean,
and can we take a moment?
Year.
Can we take a moment to
10-year
go
budget.
back and look at how last year's budget went?
Yeah, exactly.
Before we launch into
Yeah.
our 10-year, but
Yeah.
it's the constant. Everything is
And
going to be
why?
great
Well,
under my leadership.
And the issue has got to be you've got to do 10 years because that's the only way that you make the numbers work because you spread them out over 10 years. If you try to accomplish those goals in 12 months, people go, no. And so that's the problem. And then they also know that anything forward of the coming 12 months doesn't matter. So they can put any crap they want in those final 9 years of their air quotes budget. And then they just say, look, I'm cutting all of this and I'm making this better. No, you're not.
Did you hear about the empty chair?
No.
He had an empty chair there to represent the illegal immigrants hiding in fear from Donald Trump.
What?
I'm not kidding. He pointed to it.
God.
He goes, there's the empty chair where an illegal immigrant would sit. But she is in fear, cowering from Donald Trump. I posted that, and people on X were like, yeah, you should be afraid.
He's so bad
Run
at
away.
this.
All right.
He's
You're
so bad at
listening
those
to
things.
The Jeff and Bill Show.
God, he's bad at this. This is CanUS.
after it. We got a whole great hour planned for you. Breaking news as Donald J. Trump becomes the first former president sentenced for a felony. The judge hands down a sentence of, quote, unconditional discharge.
That's strange.
Which carries no punishment.
Yeah. I had that once, went to the doctor, and it cleared up after a couple of pills. It worked out real well for me. Yeah. Also told me to stop dating that woman, but that's okay.
Oh,
yeah.
It's about as relevant as that,
Exactly.
apparently, this entire trial. So this is from the Wall Street Journal. A defiant President Trump was sentenced to no punishment for covering up hush money payment to a porn star, cementing his status as a felon on the cusp of his return to the White House. Give me a break. Come on, Wall Street Journal, do better.
Well, the thing is,
the
they just wanted the felon. They just wanted him to have the letter F. That's really what it is.
That's what this is all about. Like, I'm reading this here, that there's like nobody in the courtroom but the media. There's no victim in this crime. There's no victim impact statement. Politicians get popped all the time, including Hillary Clinton, for misrepresenting some particular funding, spending thing on a document somewhere, and they pay a fine for it. This thing should have always just been a fine. And the fact that the literal punishment is no punishment just was, what a giant waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
Seriously, you impounded a jury. I don't even know if that's the right word. Impaneled a jury. You brought a jury together. They took time off of work. Taxpayers paid the salaries of these prosecutors and the judge. And at the end of all of it, Donald Trump gets elected, gets no punishment, and some little media hack gets to refer to him as a sentenced felon.
Yeah. And see, I think for
congratulations.
Me, it's because for me, it's because he won. Because if he didn't win, I believe there would be a different punishment in this case. But any appreciable punishment would be changed by Trump once he gets into office. So it wouldn't matter. And there would be issues of any sort of confinement or anything, which I didn't think was going to happen. Wouldn't be okay because of a sitting president. And any sort of fine would be appealed in a sitting president and the other stuff. And so by doing this, in my opinion, the judge is trying to thread the needle. The judge is trying to honor the work of the court and the work of those jurors while still understanding the lay of the land and trying to thread that needle that you can't really hold the president or the incoming president of the U.S. accountable for this because he's a special boy, as we've decided presidents are.
But I don't get the disparity in punishment, right? Like, we're going to organize and use the full breadth of the DA's office in Manhattan to go after Donald Trump on, he mislabeled some checks that should have been for campaign activities that weren't. Meanwhile, like the guy in Douglas County who drives through a red light and kills a 13-year-old is going to go to prison for like a year.
Yeah.
And then he'll get out less than that. And I'm just sitting here going, I think everybody sees it. Like, a lot of this is politically motivated. The real criminals out there aren't getting put away the way they should. And yet we allow progressives to prosecute the hell out of their political opponents. I disagree with it.
I disagree that we're allowing progressive to prosecute the hell out of their political opponents.
Tina Peters to me. That's Tina Peters there. 9 years?
Hang on a sec.
9 years.
What Tina Peters did was break the law, and it wasn't the idea of a campaign finance. It wasn't something. What Tina did wasn't a misdemeanor that then the district attorney came in and found a COVID type law in order to expand the amount of it.
Who is the victim in Tina Peters' case?
Oh, so it's just about
who's the serious victim? 9 years, dude. 9 years.
The victim is the constituents inside of her district that she was supposed to represent. The victims are everybody else in the state of Colorado. The victims are everybody else that she sat out there and ran around and talked all her piles and piles of BS about, and all of that. And the victims are the people that were there inside of, again, her constituency when she didn't do her actual job. And that's the victims. Those are the victims.
There's a kid, a 13-year-old kid in the ground in Douglas County because a guy ran a red light and plowed him over, and that guy's going to jail for a year. And Tina Peters is going to jail for 9 years.
But that's an issue of sentencing. That's something that we need to address through the legislature. That's not the idea of a political prosecution. That's not the result of a political prosecution. That's the result of sentencing laws. And we can change sentencing laws. And I am certain that everybody who has been convicted of a white-collar crime that sees someone doing a violent crime get less time has the same complaint. That's an issue of sentencing laws. That's not a proof positive of political prosecution.
I disagree because Jenna Griswold's walking around. All right. Billy, if you can get a sense, welcome to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is what
Billy
we do.
and I go back and forth on pretty much every hot, contentious issue. There's really nothing out there that we want to talk about.
No, and there's nothing that we won't all disagree about. There are things that we do find something, but that's what makes this so interesting. And again, Jeff and I are great friends. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. But we come at this from all sides. And yeah, I know most of you are yelling at the radio over me, and I appreciate you.
Except for Suzanne.
I know. I got a few friends out there.
She's your dedicated
Suzanne's
Jeff
fantastic.
attacker on the text message line. By the way, if you ever want to text in, these
please.
text messages come right into the studio. Bill and I both see them.
Yep, and we respond.
Yep, that's right. 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Or feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971.
If you're going to take time out of your day to send us a text message, we will try our best to honor that. If it looks like you're looking for a conversation, and we will respond to you. We'll be more than happy to have that conversation, even if it is off subject. I've had other conversations totally outside of what we're doing here on the air. Please, reach out to us.
So did anyone go down to the National Western Stock Show Parade? Would love to hear from you.
How was it? You were there.
Well, it was great, right?
That doesn't sound great.
Got
you were like, it was great.
You got the horses, you got the wagons, but it's the Longhorns
that
everybody wants to see. And to nobody's fault with National Western Stock Show. It had nothing to do with them. It has to do with the weather.
Yeah.
And I don't think you saw this. I did because we live south of the station here.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like a weather line hit at like Parker Road and Main Street, and then it was just blizzard, everything south.
That was a crazy thing. Just for a second, you came in yesterday and you were like, oh man. And I drove in yesterday and it was dry. We were barely having any flurries at all by the time I get my butt here at dark 30. And then you roll in a little bit later and you're like, oh man, I had like 6 inches in my place. I'm like, what? And that was already yesterday. And that's, still before we even hit the air, it was that different. Yeah.
No, in fact, a lot of the schools down in Douglas County were writing mea culpas to the parents. Like, my bad, shouldn't have done it. But
they should have said, hey, your kids suck and they're wimps. And we just toughened them up. That's what they should have done.
The Denver Post reporting that the cattle got stuck down in Montrose area and it was such bad weather they couldn't get here in time. So great event. Saw Kathy Saban go by.
Yay.
Waved her. She looked wonderful.
That's great.
Not a lot of love for Mikey Johnston.
I was seeing that. I saw a bunch of things on social media because I was checking out to see how you were doing and stuff down there. And I saw stuff on social media that he didn't get the overwhelming cheers. And however, I did see some voters, I'm assuming voters in Denver, they did seem to think that Mike Johnston was number one, but I'm not sure they're using the right finger. Just saying that I saw a couple of those.
Or they were going, there's a lot of cow poop here.
Yes, exactly.
This fits perfectly with Mike Johnston's leadership of the state or city of Denver. But it was a ton of fun. If you've never gone to the National Western Stock Show Parade, you have cattle, you have horses, you've got the big stage coaches, and it's all to kick off the National Western Stock Show.
I wish they would do.
Saturday.
I really wish that the city would lean into that parade more. I really wish they would try to make it bigger.
There's an opportunity to really press that.
I really think they could, and to make it something special to where it's almost the idea that it's running on. You've got great visuals. It's running on all the TV stations, and you can even try to get kids to come down there. I think it would be a wonderful idea for some kids at elementary school, middle school field trips to get down there. You should be getting as many high school bands as possible in there. You should be asking things like, us dumb radio stations and stuff to do our own little floats or something. Or if you're a vendor or an advertiser out there, I think there should be an option to do something in the parade. I really think they should lean into it because the bigger the parade is and feels, the more important the National Western Stock Show, I believe, is and feels. If you can start it off with a big giant parade that feels like something enormous and significant in the city, then you pay attention to the National Western and go, this is a big deal too. They do it with the Rose Bowl parade. They do. So same kind of thing. Same thing.
Dude. Yeah. Rose Bowl's is what they should be aiming for. So we just got a text message from a bartender at the Cooper Lounge at Union Station. And
he thinks we're drinking.
Is showing pictures of his family watching from their vantage point. And it is like they get to look down upon it from Union Station.
I didn't even think of that.
Dude, check out these
text
messages.
Cool. I'm going to have to go look. Yeah. Well, we're doing Blake's News. I'm gonna
It's a fun event. So tomorrow, the National Western Stock Show kicks off. I'll be down there having a ton of fun. So if you see me, come say hi. But let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. Appreciate it. 19 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 42 today. Our top story.
This looks like a job for me, so everybody just
DJT is being sentenced to unconditional discharge. Wow, we could say a lot about that, but I think Billy already has. In the Judge Mersham DJT perception destruction case, the sentence is imposed without imprisonment, fine, or probation supervision. DJT was found guilty on 34 felony counts last year of excrement. It comes after the Supreme Court rejected his request to block sentencing Thursday. Whatever. Just go celebrate.
Nobody cares.
No,
I mean, and it's
they don't even know what he was charged with.
That's
nobody
exactly right.
knows.
That, and
Such
Hugh
a joke.
Hewitt gets this right. Hugh always talks about just the common sense of the American voter, right?
Yep.
So they saw this was politically motivated. They knew that this wasn't a real crime, that if there was an actual issue, it should have ended up as a charge under the FEC or whatever it was. Because that happens to politicians, happens to Republicans and Democrats in Colorado all the time. You forget to label something the right way. All right, you pay a little stupid fine in the FEC report. But they knew that this was a scam, that this was an effort to go after a political opponent. They don't care.
No, they don't. They don't want to hear about it. Can't agree with you more. Just go celebrate with Mike Boyle at the View House, right? On January 20th. Speaking of Mike.
I lived in Pacific Palisades. I went to that Palisades Elementary School, that beautiful Spanish hacienda-style building that's been on all the news with that clock tower. The school has been burned down. The clock tower has survived. I went to Marquez Elementary, which is another school there. The house that I grew up in has burned down.
Man, that is sad. The massive Palisades fire burning in Southern California is now 6% contained. It's one of 5 active wildfires that have killed at least 10 people and destroyed thousands of structures. The Eaton fire near Pasadena and the newer Kenneth fire are both 0% contained, while the Hearst fire is 37% contained, and the Lydia fire is 75% contained.
And I think anything that we can hold on to a memory with would help us to heal and to remember this house that was so important to our family.
Story after story.
Did the floors, and we put in windows and doors and painted and just put. My grandchildren loved it. My son and my daughter and my family. We hosted Christmas Eve and Christmas Day here.
An arson suspect is in custody after being apprehended by residents in California's San Fernando Valley, not far from where a brush fire had started a short time earlier. About 4:30 on Thursday afternoon, police responded to reports of a man trying to start a fire in Woodland Hills. About 3 men tackled him, used zip ties, and roped him down until officers arrived. Governor Newsom, he needs to be zip tied, tracked down by one lady who didn't believe him at all. Good idea there.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
Good for her.
I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter.
What a greasy politician. The nation's 39th president was remembered on Thursday in D.C. before his body was returned to his home state of Georgia to be buried next to his late wife, Rosalind Carter. We're talking about Jimmy Carter, of course. President Biden, he delivered the eulogy, and I'll spare you of that. Wow. The future of TikTok in the U.S. is in the hands of the Supreme Court as it's hearing arguments over an impending ban of the massively popular video platform. But yep.
Hey, I was going to go back to that lady and
yes,
asking Governor Newsom to answer that line. She says, "I don't believe you."
Yes,
that is a career ender for him.
God, I would hope so.
I don't. You have a woman.
I don't
in
believe
distress,
you. Can't imagine that.
One of his constituents desperately looking to him at this moment for leadership. And he lies to her. He lies to her.
Yeah, he does. He wasn't talking to.
No,
he wasn't talking to the president. She just caught him cold-blooded.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe it. You know what's funny about that shot also? If there's one time you should be wearing a mask, it's in that smoke.
No fire.
She's wearing a mask and he's not.
I have 4 kids losing to school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
You're right, Jeff. That is devastating for him. This guy. Wow.
Politics aside, right, left, it doesn't. When it comes to your constituents desperately needing your help, and you are so bad at it that they say, "I don't believe you."
Isn't that amazing?
Good riddance. Good riddance.
Yep, no doubt. Brandi Bradley was on with Jeff and Bill earlier. I missed the whole argument. I was actually editing, and I missed the whole thing. I wanted to record that thing, and then I'm getting this, and I was like, "What?"
Oh, don't worry.
I missed it.
The liberal blogs will definitely pick it up.
Yeah. Basically, here, I will recap it for you like Jeff does with the Jared Polis thing. It's basically like, okay, there we go. That's basically it.
No, you're transphobic. You're transphobic.
Yeah.
You hate the gays. I hate you. All that.
So I picked up on the end, but here's the conclusion I'm coming to. Yeah, I know, man. Yeah. Can't we, instead of men's and women's bathrooms, I think we should just have penis and vagina on each door. What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be questionable on the door. You're going to run into the issues there.
Penis is over here. Vagina's over here.
Blake, did you ever go to middle school? They're going to start writing someone's names on
faces, all sorts of stuff. Yes, arms on them, feet, and I would be standing in line to write on there. Yes,
name is on the.
I love
See,
that.
that's another reason that girls and boys shouldn't be in the same restrooms. You are correct, Jeff.
Yes,
I mean the drawings and stuff, man.
For a good time.
Okay, I got to bring this up. Okay, now the one thing you said right there that makes me laugh is that I can sit there, and I'm doing this kind of tongue in cheek, but I can understand why maybe some women wouldn't want transgendered men inside the bathrooms because have you seen what the male bathrooms or smelled the male bathrooms currently? And theirs are all nice and clean, and so okay, if we're talking just about hygiene, okay, I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that.
I'm jealous, man. We've all done it. You guys have talked about it. You accidentally walk into the women's restroom and you're like, oh crap! There's no.
And the reason is,
and
the reason
it smells good in there,
yes,
man.
yes,
Couches. You got people shining your shoes.
I know.
You know,
asking if you want to
your
snack.
fingernails,
exactly. Doing your hair, and you're like, I have no idea. I come out and I look at a whole makeover.
Magazines.
Yes. There's a massage chair in the corner, and you walk into the men's bathroom, and there's some rats and a hole in the ground. That's basically it. And you got to fight the rats to get to the hole. Yes, that's it.
Exactly. Martha Stewart magazines in there.
I know.
God, the smells are actually really good.
There's a coupon exchange billboard in there. You can pick coupons you need. You can leave them for your friends. Yeah, no.
Chocolate kisses.
Yeah, but in the guy's bathroom, there's something like one shoe. You're like, who left their shoe in the bathroom? What? Who walked out of here with only one shoe?
Vomit in the far stall.
Oh, yes.
God,
yeah.
man.
When any guy that has made the decision and accidentally to walk into the wrong restroom, you get one step in, and the thing that hits you first is, doesn't smell like old cheese. That is the first thing. You're like, I'm in the wrong place. It's exactly
and the lighting's different.
Yes.
Man, they have like great lighting.
Yes. Oh, yes. They have the one flickering
so
light.
Unfair.
Yeah, or just like the bulb hanging from the one wire from the ceiling. Yeah, that's what we get.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
But we deserve it.
Yeah, we do. Hey, it's prediction time. We got the Broncos in Buffalo. Man. All right, we'll start with Jeff. What do you think? Back in the playoffs, first time since 2016, take on the Bills in Buffalo.
Dude,
Sunday at 11.
Boy.
All right.
I think they're going to give a good run, and it could come together.
Okay, you got a score? Come up with a score. Just throw out a score.
Let's do 28-21 Broncos.
Whoa! All right. I like it.
All right.
Upset. All right.
Yeah.
Bill.
For me, I think the Broncos are going to fight well. Although I do think at the end of the day, stage fright and lack of experience is going to play a role. And I think it will come down to a couple of either mistakes made by the Broncos or great plays made by the Bills. I'll go 28-21, but I think the Bills walk away with this one. And I think the Broncos, what the thing that we as Broncos fans will rationalize, not saying that's a great thing, but we'll rationalize is we got a taste. We know what it feels like. Let's go back and finish it next year. That's what I'm hoping for.
Got to start somewhere.
Gotta.
Yep. Hey, Josh Allen is incredible. But you know what? The Broncos defense, man, they have impressed me.
Oh, yeah.
They fly around, but to me, it comes down to turnovers. And Bo Nix to me, it's going to come down to that playoff atmosphere. Bo Nix, I think he may throw a pick or two, may fumble the ball. And I think Rich Stadium, I think this is the last go around for them, man. This is going to be huge. They move into a new stadium. So I'm going to say 26-14 Bills.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Now, this could be an interesting one.
That's a good one.
Best T-shirt that I've seen as far as the Broncos that I ran across in the last week that is wonderful. It's a combination of the Broncos and Casa Bonita. Here's what I saw. Yeah, so here's what I saw. You know, the Casa Bonita, the arch kind of thing, the window you kind of see there. So basically they've done the rounded window, but they put the Bronco in there. And then in the Casa Bonita font that they do, it says Casa Bonito. Wrecking offenses since 2024.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like, I like that one. That one's good. That's solid.
That is very good. Man, that dude is a player.
I've got a text message here going back to the doors, the bathroom doors here, Blake.
Yeah. Speaking of Casa Bonita.
Nicely done.
So is the penis and vagina on the bathroom door for what you have or what you would prefer?
Very good.
Well done,
Very
Texter.
good.
Nicely
I
done.
love it. Ding, ding, ding,
Wait,
ding, ding,
this
ding.
is the bathroom where the
Yes.
Yes.
the girls parts are available?
Okay, and you know we've all gone to that restaurant that tries to be cute about it, and you look at the doors and you're like, I don't know what one to use. What am I?
I don't speak
French.
French.
Yes, I don't know what I am. And so you gotta wait there for someone to walk out just because.
Totally unfair. The Argentinian restaurant or Brazilian restaurant.
Oh, yes, yeah. I don't know. What am I?
I only took 1 year Spanish.
I know.
All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Lafayette has 15 degrees. Littleton has 17, 19 in Denver. TGIF, Jeff and Billy continue.
We're seeing massage chairs and that do more things than ever before.
But not in the men's bathrooms. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It'll be a quiet Friday weather-wise for Denver in the Front Range. It'll be cool, sunny, highs upper 30s. Lows tonight in the 20s, increasing cloudiness overnight. Saturday and Sunday and Monday will be kind of blustery. Temperatures will be mostly in the 30s. Lows will be teens. It'll be kind of windy at times. There'll be a few passing snow showers possible Saturday. Highs this weekend will be 30s, lows at 19s, and remaining cold into Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill show. Before we get to some actual cowboy poetry, I got to play it one more time.
Yeah.
The summary of Jared Polis's State of the State. If you missed this, he gave his State of the State speech before a combined House and Senate yesterday down at the Colorado State Capitol. And I listened to all 1 hour of it. And I want to play this because I want to juxtapose it to what's going to happen next, which is some actual cowboy poetry. But here's Jared Polis on his vision for the future of the state.
The Honorable Jared Polis, Governor of the state of Colorado.
Altitude. Altitude is in many ways our secret ingredient. Potatoes, Colorado grown potatoes, Colorado altitude, and also the Rockies play here. Altitude is more at altitude. The sun's rays shine stronger and brighter. Right here, right now, right here, right now. The governor is a nerd, and I'll oppose anyone and everyone higher to even greater altitude. Mycorrhizal fungi networks or wood wide webs, expanding public transit and rail, where Scotty can beam us up to Craig. As they say in The Mandalorian, this is the way. Climate change, our bold climate action, outdoor equity, eliminating the penny, needless bureaucracy and paperwork. And we are committed to holding cattle rustlers accountable. So I can speak for another hour. For a woman to make her own reproductive health care choices, including abortion, and many other immigrants who enrich our communities and economy every day are living in fear. Fabulous Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. And defying gravity, RuPaul says, reading is what? Fundamental. 90% of students, imagine a class of 25 students, 22 are behind grade level in math and reading. Sometimes simply breathing can be an act of strength. Lord of the Ring fans know that one does not simply walk into Mordor. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. Diversity is a strength, not a threat. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. Tickets as low as $19 for adults, $10 for kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chief executive of the state of Colorado talking about being high. Altitude. I think he was high.
Yeah. I just think that here's the thing is I want to know who the speechwriter was on that one because it seems like they hit a theme and they decided the theme is going to be altitude. And then you just have to mention it a certain amount of times in the speech and then do it at the end. And I'm like, that's like 6th grade level speech writing stuff. And the other part, though, is what that I love is that you include at the beginning is the honorable so-and-so governor, blah, blah, blah. I love that because every time I hear that, it just reminds me that we need to remind these politicians how they're supposed to act. Because if we didn't have to say that they were just honorable all the time, we wouldn't have to tell them.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have to assume them if they were all honorable, but they aren't. So we have to remind them what they're supposed to be like.
One of the things that he talked about was cattle wrestling. Rustling, my apologies. Cattle rustling, which is taking cattle. And we have in studio a real live cattle rustler, Jeff Hildebrandt. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill show. Are you the one that Jared Polis is looking for right now?
No, you were right the first time. I am a cattle wrestler, not a rustler.
But apparently Jared Polis is looking for one. And I think it was 200 head of cattle that were stolen down in Montrose.
Well, Longhorns, they were just left there.
That's where they were.
That's where they were.
They were stolen. That's why Jared Polis is on the case.
Yeah.
So Jeff Hildebrandt is the 710 KNUS Poet Laureate. We're both fans of cowboys. We're both all hat, no cattle. But we've got the National Western Stock Show coming up. You've got a story and some cowboy poetry for us.
I do. Years ago, I was in Washington, D.C., and I was interviewing congressmen and senators about the National Day of the Cowboy. Many people are not aware of that, but there was some legislation passed that was the National Day of the Cowboy. And so I was out there talking to them, getting their feel for it, and got a lot of great stories. But then I got
it's the fourth Saturday of July, by the way. It's the National Day of the Cowboy.
Got a story from a congressman that was slightly off base. It was just between him and me. And it was called the Elko Rodeo. And he told me the story, and I thought about it. I turned it into this rhyme. And this is the essence of the story that he told. Folks say that 10 Hell's Angels pulled up and parked their rides in front of an Elko cowboy bar. They got off and went inside. At about that time, 3 cowboys came out from that same bar, intending just to head on home, but they didn't get too far. They walked on around the Harleys and stumbled in the dark, each trying to remember just where their pickups parked. The next thing anybody knew, the truck took off real slow, rolling over all those Harleys, cowboys laughing as they go. Those biker boys heard all that noise and poured into the street. Crumpled chrome and handlebars were lying at their feet. They pulled the cowboys from the truck. The dance was underway, and 3 cowboys beat 10 bikers to a bloody pulp that day. Newspapers told the details. The report was short and sweet. How some cowboys held a rodeo on a downtown Elko street. Some say it's just an urban myth. Some swear that it's all true. I don't know for certain, but this might be a clue. Hell's Angels are more cautious since this warning got around. Be careful where you park your bikes when the cowboys are in town.
Oh, that's good.
I like it. The Elko Rodeo.
Elko Rodeo. Yeah.
Cowboys. Cowboys are pretty tough, though, but against some bikers? Apparently
Well,
in your poetry,
they were
they're tougher.
tired from pedaling.
That's a good one. All right. What else we got?
Okay.
You got some cowboy church, huh?
Yeah, the stock show, there's a lot to talk about what goes on at the stock show. And not many people even know about the fact that every Sunday they have cowboy church at the stock show. And I took part in the stock show for a few years and did cowboy church for a couple of years. It's been a while back, but with apologies to Jeff Foxworth, you're in a cowboy church when the finance committee refuses to buy a chandelier because none of them know how to play it. The choir in a cowboy church is known as the OK Corral. The baptismal pool is a galvanized stock tank. The 10 Commandments are known as the Cowboy Way, and Gene Autry is considered the 13th apostle. And speaking of cowboy church, we sit on hay bales, folding chairs, and arena bleachers. No one cares. No trendy dresses or tailored suits. We mostly come in jeans and boots to cowboy church. As guitar music fills the place, we sing about amazing grace. One look around will make it clear, old-time religion is practiced here. They teach your worth is not your wealth. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be peaceful. Turn the other cheek. Be confident, but also meek. They preach that in the Father's plan, the way to save the souls of man is only through one sacrifice, the death for all of Jesus Christ. We come to praise the Lord above and share with others how his love has changed our lives and can change theirs. So come for fellowship and prayers to Cowboy Church.
Makes me want to go to cowboy church.
Yeah, seems much more fun in the church I was stuck in as a kid. That man, a comfortable tie.
We got spit and tobacco and platoons as well. That's great. Jeff Hildebrandt joining us. He's the 710 KNUS Cowboy Poet Laureate. We've got a few more coming from him. You're not going to want to miss. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS. You want to talk about rich people get stuff? The only reason he has a song is because Quincy Jones is an uncle.
I like the song though.
Oh, again, I like the song too, but I don't think they created it. It's someone else. I mean, it's the idea someone else does this stuff, and then you come in and just get to wear your silly glasses. And I just want to have a rich uncle that will make Jeff and I pop stars.
There you go.
I'm just looking
that
for the
helps.
equity here.
Definitely helps.
Boy,
well,
does it help. Yes. That's Brooke Hogan.
On Fridays, we like to saunter off into the weekend with a little cowboy poetry from Jeff Hildebrandt, our 710 KNUS cowboy poet laureate. All right, you got two more. Right?
First,
go ahead.
First, Billy.
Yes, sir.
I think you do have an uncle that would make you both a Pop-Tart. Is that what
Thank
you
you.
said?
Yes, yes.
These
I'm a little
headsets.
hungry. Yes, that's what I need. Yeah, you got the big headsets. Not
anyway,
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you said Pop-Tarts.
It was Pop-Tarts, yes.
Okay,
That'd be much
all
better. That's what I have much more likely of an uncle doing that for me than yes.
All right.
Sorry,
we
That's
got some poetry, some California.
Well, I do. Thinking and watching all the coverage of the fires, flames racing through the Palisades, and where we saw the Rose Parade, spread by Santa Ana winds. When one dies down, one more begins. First responders did their best, but didn't have too much success because there's not much they could do when facing flames and nature too. The rich and poor were forced to flee despite supposed security, as wind-whipped embers quickly flew to the hills surrounding Malibu. Now, even if you're not connected, you can pray for those affected. Pray God's Spirit will increase and bring them needed inner peace, and ask the Lord what you can do to help them as they struggle through the loss of everything they own. Prepare to leave your comfort zone, no matter why or when or where. God expects us all to share the truth. His love is always there.
It is. That's a great poem. It's very heartbreaking to see what's happening there. Have you known people affected by this?
Well, a few. I know a lot of people who live out there. Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of our very own, Tom Moeller from KRKS, has a place down around San Diego. And so everything's kind of moving that way.
It's heartbreaking to see.
Yeah.
Please continue to pray for all those involved with the California firefighters. Even if you just take a moment right now to say a quick prayer for them. Let's do, speaking of tragedy and the loss of life, we lost a president recently.
Yeah, we did.
And you have a poem that you shared last week, but again, this one on Jimmy Carter.
Okay. Jimmy Carter passed away, and while the nation mourns, we should take time to think about the fact he's been reborn. Before he put on politics, Jimmy found the dedication to help all those who needed it. He inspired a generation to get out of their comfort zones and volunteer their skills to benefit humanity and not burden them with bills. His habitat work so pleased the Lord that he was finally brought on board to join the Christ construction crew. They build the heavenly homes for you who have the faith to follow through on all that Jesus asks of you. So thank you, Jimmy Carter, for making it so clear that loving one another is why God has put us here.
I love how Jeff brings us back to the heart of it.
And the truth
really
behind it. And it is, given all the, yelling I did today, it's a good reminder there at the end that this is all about, loving each other and coming back together and understanding how to get to that one commonality and that one common good. And it's a good reminder, especially given, I think Jimmy Carter, in many ways, his life was a good case study of that, because he was not someone that was looked at as being a good president, but he wasn't looked at in a real positive manner until afterwards. It was everything he did outside of the White House afterwards, after he left the office, that engendered him to the American public. It's why he became that comfortable grandfather that everybody kind of was like, that he's a really good guy. He went out there and he spoke out about a lot of things, and he seemed to always come with
married.
and be the heart of a Christian. Yeah,
all
and
that
he's talking
stuff.
about he retired. He stayed in the same house that was worth $167,000. afterwards. We'd love to see any presidents go ahead and do that kind of thing, but that's not how it works anymore. Yeah, it's a nice reminder about someone that, even though if we disagreed on the politics, that at the core he was a good guy, and good guys can get things wrong at times, but it's more important to be that good person.
That's right. All right, we've got about a minute. Is there one more?
Well, I can do one quickly.
Yeah,
here,
please.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hopefully. Now, this one requires you to close your eyes unless you're driving, and just picture it. The rowel on his fancy silver spur spins as he slides his pointed toe of his dusty Justins into the tapadero draped stirrup. His gloved hand moves over the sorrel's mane. Then fingers wrap around the smooth saddle horn. His body rises from the dirt as his right leg swings high over the pony's back and down the other side, where his boot instinctively finds the other stirrup. The pony stands steady and even turning his head to acknowledge the added weight as the rider slides his fated denim-covered rump down the cantle into the seat. He pulls his black Stetson with the multicolored Indian beaded band tight over his head, and with his left hand, he grabs the two braided ropes that run from the hackamore. He shifts his weight, settling in to become one with the pony he straddles.
That is me as a kid. I can tell you,
great.
I can tell you the color of the mechanical horse that was there at the King Supers that my mom used to drop a penny in, that I sat there and rode while she was checking out and doing the groceries. I can tell you the color. I can tell you what that motor sounded like.
And how you felt as a cowboy.
Oh, I felt like I was the coolest kid in the store.
Yeah.
I may have shown up with my, Lone Ranger hat and my Lone Ranger gun belt.
Little Billy, little cowboy Billy.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff Hildebrandt, thank you
you,
so
sir.
very
pleasure.
much.
My
The
pleasure.
National Western Stock Show kicks off tomorrow. I'll be down there. You can come say hi. nationalwestern.com are the details there. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you missed any of it, go to 710KNUS for the podcast. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader. Thanks for spending time with us. This is KNUS.